Chapter 1. Non-Commercial Learner's Permit Information. Applying for a learner's permit. You must obtain a learner's permit before you operate a motor vehicle in Pennsylvania. You will need to take and pass the vision, knowledge and road tests to get your driver's license. The Non-Commercial Learner's Permit Application, DL 180, is valid for 1 year from the date of your physical examination. However, the physical examination date may not be more than 6 months prior to your 16th birthday. When you are 16 years of age or older, please follow the steps listed below in order to get your non-commercial learner's permit. You cannot apply for your permit before your 16th birthday. 1. Complete the non-commercial learner's permit application, DL 180, found on our website at www.dmv.pa.gov under the Forms and Publications link at the top of the page. 2. Your healthcare provider must complete the back of the non-commercial learner's permit application, DL 180. The form must be completed no earlier than 6 months prior to your 16th birthday. All information must be completed. 3. If the driver license examiner cannot determine whether the information on the non-commercial learner's permit application, DL 180, meets medical standards, your learner's permit may be delayed. You may be required to undergo additional medical examinations. If you have a condition that seriously impairs your ability to drive, you may be required to get a dual-control learner's permit and learn to drive with a certified instructor. 4. If you are under 18 years of age, your parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older must complete the parent or guardian consent form, DL 180TD, also found on our website at www.dmv.pa.gov under the Forms and Publications link at the top of the page. If the parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older cannot accompany the applicant, the DL 180TD must be signed by the parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older in the presence of a notary. Proper identification is required, and if last names are different, verification of relationship is needed. If you are over 18 years of age, you must present 2 proofs of residency: current utility bills, water, gas, electric, cable, etc. W-2 form. Tax records. Current weapons permit, U.S. citizens only. Lease agreements. Mortgage documents. After studying the manual and following the steps listed above, bring the items listed below to the driver license center when you are ready to take your knowledge test. Your completed non-commercial learner's permit application, DL 180. Do not mail this form if under 18 years of age. Also bring your completed parent or guardian consent form, DL 180TD. Proof of date of birth and identification. These documents must be originals. Photocopies will not be accepted. Your Social Security card. Applicable fee. Note: please refer to back of form for acceptable form of payment. Please note: forms of identification that may be used to prove your date of birth are listed on the back of the non-commercial learner's permit application, DL 180, along with the fees. If you do not have your vision tested by your HCP or optometrist, your vision will be tested at the driver license center. If you wear glasses or contact lenses, please bring them with you. You will then take the knowledge test on signs, laws, driving rules and safe practices described later in this manual. After passing the knowledge test, the examiner will give you a learner's permit, which is valid for 1 year. When you receive your learner's permit, you may begin to practice driving. PennDOT recommends young drivers schedule their road test at this time as long as the testing date is not before the eligibility date printed on your learner's permit. If you were under the age of 18, you are required to complete at least 65 hours of behind-the-wheel skill building, including no less than 10 hours of nighttime driving and 5 hours of bad weather driving before taking your road test. This training will help teach you the skills necessary to become a good, safe driver. Remember, a licensed driver who is at least 21 years of age or a parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older and holds a driver's license must ride with you in the front seat of your vehicle at all times. In addition, drivers under the age of 18 cannot have more passengers in the vehicle than the number of seat belts. After you have waited the mandatory 6 months from your permit issue date and have a signed certificate of completion for the 65 hours of skill building, including no less than 10 hours of nighttime driving and 5 hours of bad weather driving, you may take your road test. If your learner's permit expires or if you do not pass your road test after 3 tries, you may obtain a non-commercial learner's permit application to add, extend, replace, change, correct, DL31. If you are using your learner's permit for driving outside the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, please check with your insurance company and the other state's Department of Transportation to make sure your learner's permit is considered valid. If any information in your learner's permit is not correct, bring proof of the correct information to the examiner when you come to the driver license center for testing. If you failed the knowledge test, the examiner will return the non-commercial learner's permit application, DL180, and your parent or guardian consent form, DL180TD, to you. You may take the knowledge test only one time on any day regardless of test location. Keep your forms in a safe place since you must bring them with you when you are tested again. Organ donor designation. Each time you renew your Pennsylvania driver's license, you will be asked if you want the organ donor designation in your driver's license. Please decide before going to the photo license center. The words organ donor will appear on your driver's license when you say yes to being designated as an organ donor at the photo license center. Applicants under 18 years of age may request and obtain the organ donor designation on their driver's license. However, they must have written consent from a parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older. They may give consent by checking the appropriate block on the parent or guardian consent form, DL180TD. For information on organ and tissue donation, contact 1-877-DONOR, PA. You can also add the organ donor designation to your driver record via our website at www.dmv.pa.gov. Through this service channel, you will be given the opportunity to print a card to carry with your driver's license. Organ Donation Awareness Trust Fund, ODTF. You have the opportunity to donate to the Governor Robert P. Casey Memorial Organ and Tissue Donation Awareness Trust Fund. The trust fund will create funding to support the various organ donation programs across the Commonwealth and provide for public information concerning these programs. Make a check mark on your driver's license form if you wish to contribute to this fund. The contribution is added to the driver's license fee and must be included in your payment when you send your form to PennDOT. Veterans Designation. You have the opportunity to add the veteran's designation to your driver's license, which clearly indicates you are a veteran of the United States Armed Forces. To qualify, you must have served in the United States Armed Forces, including a reserve component or the National Guard, and have been discharged or released from such service under conditions other than dishonorable. Veterans Trust Fund, VTF. You have the opportunity to make a tax-deductible contribution to the VTF. Your contribution will help support programs and projects for Pennsylvania veterans and their families. Since this additional contribution is not part of the fee, please add the donated amount to your payment. Also, please check the proper block on the form to ensure your contribution is handled properly. Social Security Number Information. The department is required by law to obtain your Social Security number, height and eye color under the provisions of Section 1510, and or 1609, 4, of the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code. The information will be used as identifying information in an attempt to minimize driver's license fraud. Your Social Security number is not part of your public driver's record. Federal law permits the use of the Social Security number by state licensing officials for purposes of identification. Your Social Security number will not be printed on your learner's permit or driver's license. Pennsylvania Vision Standards. You may have poor vision in either eye and still be able to obtain a driver's license. However, you may be required to wear glasses or contact lenses, be restricted to daylight driving, or be allowed to operate only vehicles equipped with side mirrors. If your vision fails to meet the vision standards, the examiner will give you a report of eye examination form, DL102. You should have an optometrist, ophthalmologist or family physician test your vision and complete this form. When the form is completed, you may return to the driver license center to continue testing. WHO needs a Pennsylvania driver's license? Individuals who possess a valid foreign driver's license from their country are authorized to drive in Pennsylvania for up to 1 year from their date of entry into the United States, or upon expiration of their foreign license, whichever comes first. International driving permits are strongly recommended, but not required. Reciprocity agreements exist with the countries of France, Germany, Korea and Taiwan, allowing for the transfer of a valid non-commercial driver's license without road or knowledge testing. However, a vision test will be administered. Transfer of a driver's license from Puerto Rico, France, or Germany cannot be completed the same day. People living in Pennsylvania who are at least 16 years of age and want to drive a motor vehicle. People who just moved into Pennsylvania and are establishing Pennsylvania residency. If you hold a valid driver's license from another state or Canada, you must get a Pennsylvania driver's license within 60 days after moving to Pennsylvania and surrender your out-of-state driver's license. People in the United States Armed Forces whose legal address is in Pennsylvania. This includes members of the reserve components stationed in Pennsylvania, who must get a driver's license to operate a non-military vehicle. Junior Learner's Permit information. Your learner's permit will be valid for 1 year from the issue date printed on your initial learner's permit. During this time, there are certain limitations in your driving privilege if you are under 18 years of age. They are: you may only drive under the supervision of a licensed driver who is at least 21 years of age or a parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older and holds a driver's license. The supervising driver must sit in the front seat. You may not carry more passengers than seat belts available in the vehicle you are driving. Junior driver's license information. Like the junior learner's permit, there are some limitations to the junior driver's license. They are: you may not drive between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., unless your parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older is with you. However, you may drive between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. if you are involved in public or charitable service, a member of a volunteer fire company, or employed during those hours. In these cases, you must carry a notarized affidavit or certificate of authorization from your employer, supervisor or fire chief indicating your probable schedule of activities. This notarized affidavit should be kept with your driver's license. You may not carry more passengers than seat belts available in the vehicle you are driving. You may not carry more than one passenger under the age of 18 who is not an immediate family member unless a parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older is in the vehicle with you. After the first 6 months of driving on a junior license, the limit is increased to no more than 3 passengers under the age of 18 who are not immediate family members unless a parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older is in the vehicle with you. The increased limit does not apply to any junior driver who has ever been involved in a crash in which you were partially or fully responsible or who is convicted of any driving violation. You will receive a mandatory 90-day suspension if you accumulate 6 or more points or are convicted of driving 26 miles per hour, mph, or more over the posted speed limit. You may get a regular driver's license after you have held a junior driver's license for 1 year, if you meet the following conditions: have passed a driver training course approved by the PA Department of Education, have not been involved in a crash for which you are partially or fully responsible for 1 year, have not been convicted of any violation of the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code for 1 year, have the consent of your parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is at least 18 years of age. If you meet these requirements, you may apply for a regular driver's license by submitting an application for change from a junior driver's license to a regular non-commercial driver's license, DL59. Your junior driver's license will automatically become a regular driver's license when you turn 18 years of age. What class of driver's license do you need? In Pennsylvania, driver's licenses are issued specifically for the class and type of vehicle you operate. Therefore, the class of driver's license you should have depends specifically upon the type of vehicle you operate. Generally speaking, the majority of applicants for a Pennsylvania driver's license will be operators of regular passenger vehicles, pickup trucks or vans. This manual is designed to provide the information you need to get a non-commercial Class C driver's license, which is the class that covers these types of vehicles. Classes of driver's licenses. Class A. Minimum age 18. Required to operate any combination of vehicles with a gross weight rating of 26,001 pounds or more, where the vehicle being towed are in excess of 10,000 pounds. Example: Recreational vehicle. When the towing vehicle is rated at 11,000 pounds and the vehicle towed is rated at 15,500 pounds. Total combination weight of 26,500 pounds. Class B. Minimum age 18. Required to operate any single vehicle rated in excess of 26,000 pounds. Example. Motorhomes rated at 26,001 pounds or more. Class C. Minimum age 16. A Class C driver's license will be issued to persons 16 years of age or older, who have demonstrated their qualifications to operate any vehicles, except those requiring a Class M qualification, and who do not meet the definitions of Class A or Class B. Any firefighter or member of a rescue or emergency squad who is the holder of a Class C driver's license and who has a certificate of authorization from a fire chief or head of the rescue or emergency squad will be authorized to operate any fire or emergency vehicle registered to that fire department, rescue or emergency squad or municipality. The holder of a Class C license is authorized to drive a motor-driven cycle with an automatic transmission and cylinder capacity of 50 cc or less, or a three-wheeled motorcycle with an enclosed cab. Class M. Minimum age 16. A Class M driver's license will be issued to those persons 16 years of age or older who have demonstrated their ability to operate a motorcycle or motor-driven cycle. If a person is qualified to operate only a motorcycle or motor-driven cycle, they will be issued a Class M driver's license. If you test on a motor-driven cycle, an 8 restriction will appear on our driver's license. This restriction prohibits you from operating a motorcycle. If you test on a motorcycle with more than 2 wheels, a 9 restriction will appear on your driver's license. This restriction prohibits you from operating a 2-wheeled motorcycle. Please refer to the Pennsylvania Motorcycle Operator's Manual, Pub 147, or the Mopeds, Motor Driver Cycles and Motorcycles fact sheet located on PennDOT's Driver and Vehicles Services website in the Motorcycle Information Center. Commercial Class A, B or C. Drivers who need a commercial driver's license should obtain the Pennsylvania Commercial Driver's Manual, Pub 223, which contains detailed information necessary to prepare for the tests. This manual is available on PennDOT's Driver and Vehicle Services website in the Commercial Driver Information Center. Tests. Knowledge test. The knowledge test will measure your knowledge of traffic signs, Pennsylvania's driving laws and safe driving practices. The knowledge test can be given in both written and audio format in the following languages: Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, Mandarin, French, Hindi, Korean, Russian, Ukrainian, Vietnamese, English, Burmese, Greek, Italian, Japanese, Nepali, Polish, Somali, and Urdu languages upon request, at all driver license centers across the Commonwealth. If you fail the knowledge test, you will be permitted to retake the test the following business day. This test needs to be successfully completed before you can receive a valid learner's permit. Road test. If you are under the age of 18, we allow our young drivers to schedule their skills test up to 6 months in advance. Young drivers are encouraged to plan ahead and schedule as soon as possible. We recommend that our young drivers take advantage of this opportunity. Appointments must be made to take the non-commercial road test. You may schedule your road test via the Driver and Vehicle Services website at www.dmv.pa.gov. If you do not have access to the internet, you can schedule your driver's test by calling 1-800-423-5542. Additionally, PennDOT has certified third-party businesses to administer the skills test for a market-driven fee. All third-party examiners are PennDOT certified, and the test is identical to the test that you would take at a PennDOT driver license center. For a list of participating businesses in your area, visit www.dmv.pa.gov. You will need to present the following items to the examiner prior to taking your road test. All items must be valid and for the vehicle you are using for your road test. Your valid learner's permit. A signed parent or guardian certification form, DL180C, for 65 hours of behind-the-wheel training, if you are under the age of 18. The valid registration card for the vehicle you plan to drive for the road test. Proof that the vehicle is currently insured. The valid driver's license of the person, who is at least 21 years of age, or a parent, guardian, person in loco parentis, or spouse who is 18 years of age or older, accompanying you to the driver license center. If you do not bring the original documents, not copies, listed above, you will not be given the test. Before the test begins, a driver license examiner will check to see that your vehicle has a valid registration card, current insurance, valid state inspection sticker and, if required, a valid emissions sticker. The lights, horn, brakes, windshield wipers, turn signals, mirrors, doors, seats and tires and your vehicle will also be checked to make certain they operate properly and meet safety standards. If it is determined any part of your vehicle is unsafe or does not meet state inspection requirements, you will not be allowed to take the road test. If your vehicle is equipped with seat belts, make sure they are clean and ready for use. You and the examiner will be required to wear them during the road test. If your vehicle passes this inspection, the examiner will test you to see if you can drive safely. You will fail the road test if you drive dangerously, violate the law, cause a crash, do not follow the examiner's instructions or make too many driving errors. The examiner may ask you to do the following prior to taking the road test. Vehicle controls. Operate horn, lights, parking lights, high and low beam headlights, turn signals, windshield wipers, parking, emergency, brake, four-way flashers, hazard lights, defroster, etc. Failure to properly operate any of the vehicle controls will result in a failure of the road test. Parallel park. Park your vehicle midway between two uprights in a space that is 24 feet long and 8 feet wide. Your entire vehicle must be completely inside the space, and you cannot make contact with any of the uprights to the rear or front of your vehicle, cross over the painted line, or go up onto or over the curb. You have one attempt to successfully park your vehicle using no more than 3 adjustments. Note: vehicles equipped with advanced parking guidance systems, self-parking vehicles, can be used for testing. However, the self-parking feature must be turned off and is not permitted to be activated during the road test. The examiner will be your only passenger during the road test. When the road test begins, you will be told where to drive and what maneuvers to make. Close attention will be paid to the way you approach and obey warning signs, stop signs and traffic lights. The examiner will note how you control your vehicle, use turn signals to communicate with other drivers or use any other vehicle controls that may become necessary during the test. If you pass the road test at a PennDOT driver's license center, you will receive your driver's license at that time. You will fail the road test for inability to operate any vehicle controls, violating any traffic laws, for example, failing to obey a stop sign, driving dangerously or recklessly, making errors in safe driving practices, failing to follow instructions given by the examiner, causing a crash, not using turn signals. If you are under the age of 18 and fail the road test, Pennsylvania law requires you to wait 7 days before you can retake the road test. This delay in retaking the test will give you time to practice and to improve your driving skills. You have 3 chances with each learner's permit to pass the road test before the expiration date of the learner's permit. After the 3rd failure, you must reapply to extend your learner's permit. If you do not pass your road test after 3 tries or if your learner's permit expires, you may obtain an application to add, extend, replace, change, correct non-commercial learner's permit, DL31. If you have not taken or successfully completed the road test within 3 years of your physical examination date, you must start over with another non-commercial learner's permit application, DL180, and retake the knowledge test. Chapter 2. Signals, signs and pavement markings. Signals. Traffic signals are installed at intersections to control the movement of vehicles and pedestrians. Traffic signals are arranged in either vertical lines or horizontal lines. When they are arranged vertically, red is always on top and green on the bottom. When they are arranged horizontally, red is always on the left and green on the right. Red, yellow and green traffic lights and arrows. When there is a steady red light, you must stop before crossing the marked stop line or crosswalk. If you do not see any lines, stop before entering the intersection. Wait for a green light before you start. You may turn right while the light is red, unless a no turn on red sign is posted at the intersection. You must first stop, check for and yield to pedestrians and other traffic. You may also turn left after you stop at a red light, if you are in the left lane and are turning left from a one-way street onto another one-way street. Unless a sign tells you not to turn, you must first stop and yield to pedestrians and other traffic. A steady yellow light tells you a steady red light will soon appear. If you are driving toward an intersection and a yellow light appears, slow down and prepare to stop. If you are within the intersection or cannot stop safely before entering the intersection, continue through carefully. A steady green light means you may drive through the intersection, if the road is clear. You may also turn right or left unless a sign tells you not to. However, when turning, you must yield to other vehicles and pedestrians within the intersection. A steady red arrow means you must stop and may not turn in the direction the arrow points. Wait for a green arrow or a flashing yellow arrow before you start. The same turns on red that are allowed for a steady red signal are allowed for a steady red arrow. A steady yellow arrow means the movement permitted by the green arrow or the flashing yellow arrow is about to end and the signal will soon turn red. You should slow down and prepare to stop completely before entering the intersection. If you are within the intersection or cannot stop safely before entering the intersection, you may complete the turn begun on the preceding arrow with caution. A steady green arrow means you may turn the way the arrow points. When you turn during the green arrow phase, your turn is protected because oncoming traffic is stopped by a red light. If the green arrow turns into a green light, you may still turn in that direction, but first yield to pedestrians and oncoming traffic. Flashing signals. A flashing red light has the same meaning as a stop sign. You must come to a complete stop. Then, look both ways, and proceed only after the intersection is clear. A flashing yellow light means caution. Slow down, look and proceed with care. A flashing yellow arrow means you may turn in the direction of the arrow with caution. However, you must first yield to oncoming traffic and pedestrians. When you turn during the flashing yellow arrow phase, your turn is not protected. Oncoming traffic will have a green light. Non-functioning traffic lights. A non-functioning traffic signal should be treated as though it were a four-way stop sign. Ramp metering signals. Some highway entrance ramps have traffic signals at the end of the ramp that alternate between steady green and steady red. Ramp metering signals are used to control the flow of traffic onto very congested highways and usually operate during peak rush hours. You must wait for the green signal before you enter the highway. On single-lane ramps, only one car may enter the highway each time the light turns green. For multi-lane on ramps, there will be a ramp meter for each lane. The green light does not protect your entrance onto the highway. You must still look for a safe gap in traffic to enter the highway. Lane use control signals. Special signals may also be placed directly over lanes to control traffic. These are commonly used at toll booths, on bridges, tunnels and on multi-lane roads in cities where the direction of travel for a particular lane changes to ease the flow of traffic into or out of the city during peak rush hour. The following signals show how specific lanes of a street or highway should be used. A steady downward green arrow over a traffic lane means you may use the lane. A steady yellow X over a traffic lane means you must change lanes because the direction of travel for that lane is about to be reversed. Get ready to leave the lane safely. A steady red X over a lane means you are not allowed to use the traffic lane. A white steady, one-way left turn arrow over a lane means you may only turn left, if you are in that lane. A white steady, two-way left turn arrow over a lane means you may only turn left, if you are in that lane, but the lane is shared by left-turning drivers approaching from the opposite direction. Pedestrian signals. Pedestrians must obey traffic and pedestrian signals. The pedestrian signals you must obey are the walk and don't walk lights or the lighted picture of a walking person, meaning walk, and an upraised hand, meaning don't walk. If there are no pedestrian signals at the intersection, pedestrians must obey the red, yellow and green traffic lights. Sometimes pedestrians are not aware of their responsibilities at traffic and pedestrian signals. Be alert for pedestrians, who may not obey the signal. Always yield to pedestrians. When a steady walk or walking person comes on, start crossing, but be alert for turning vehicles that may not lawfully yield the right of way. When the flashing don't walk or flashing upraised hand begins. A. Finish crossing, if you are in the street. B. Do not start to cross, if you have not left the curb. When the steady don't walk message or steady upraised hand is displayed, do not cross. Blind pedestrians. When driving near a blind pedestrian who is carrying a white cane or walking with a guide dog, you must slow down, Always yield the right of way and then proceed with caution. Be prepared to stop your vehicle in order to prevent injury or danger to the pedestrian. School zone signals. School zone signals are flashing yellow signals placed on the school zone speed limit signs. You must travel no faster than 15 miles per hour when the yellow signals are flashing or during the time periods indicated on the sign. Exceeding the speed limit in a school zone will result in 3 points in your driving record, and you will also be fined. Railroad crossing signals. Drivers are alerted when approaching a railroad crossing by the railroad crossing sign. Railroad crossings should be approached with caution at all times. You should always look both ways and listen for any approaching trains or signals before proceeding across the railroad tracks. You are required to stop at all railroad crossings when there is a signal of an approaching train. These signals include flashing red lights, a lowered crossing gate, a flagger signaling, or a train's audible signal of warning. Do not move forward or attempt to go around any gate or ignore any signal of an approaching train. If there are no signals at the railroad crossing, you should slow down and prepare to stop if you see or hear a train approaching. Proceed with caution only after all signals are completed and then only when there is evidence no trains are approaching the crossing. You should stop if a train is approaching and has sounded its audible signal or is plainly visible and in hazardous proximity to the crossing. Do not stop your vehicle on a railroad track, regardless of whether a train appears to be coming. If traffic is backed up because of a traffic signal, stop sign, or for any other reason, make sure you stop your vehicle in a location where it will be entirely clear of any railroad tracks. Refer to Chapter 3 for more information about how to safely cross a highway railroad intersection. Signs. Note: for a complete list of road signs, refer to the printed version of the handbook. You can locate it on the official DMV website or on driving-tests.org. Signs are divided into 3 basic categories: regulatory, warning, and guide signs. Most signs within each category have a special shape and color. Regulatory signs. Regulatory signs tell you what you must do, or must not do, according to the law. The regulations posted on these signs advise you about speed limits, the direction of traffic, turning restrictions, parking restrictions, etc. If you do not obey the messages and regulatory signs, you could be fined and receive points in your driving record because you were breaking the law. You also risk your safety and the safety of others by disobeying the messages and regulatory signs. For example, failing to stop at a stop sign, passing another car where it is not safe to pass, driving faster than the posted speed limit, or driving the wrong way on a one-way street. Usually, regulatory signs are black and white vertical rectangles or squares, like speed limit signs. Some regulatory signs are black, white, and red, like the no left turn sign with a circle and slash. Other regulatory signs are red and white, like stop, yield, do not enter, and wrong way signs. The stop sign is the only octagon-shaped, 8-sided sign you see on the highway. At an intersection with a stop sign, you must stop completely, check for pedestrians and cross traffic to clear the intersection before you go again. Slowing down without coming to a full stop is illegal. When you see a crosswalk or a stop line, white top bar, stop before the front of your vehicle reaches the first painted line. If you cannot see traffic, yield to any pedestrians and then carefully pull forward past the line until you can see clearly. Check for traffic and pedestrians and then go ahead when the intersection is clear. A 4-way stop sign means there are 4 stop signs at this intersection. Traffic from all 4 directions must stop. The first vehicle to reach the intersection should move forward first. If 2 vehicles reach the intersection at the same time, the driver on the left yields to the driver on the right. If facing one another, both can proceed with caution, watching for possible turns. Yield signs are triangular, 3-sided, in shape. When you see this sign, you must slow down and check for traffic and give the right of way to pedestrians and approaching cross traffic. You stop only when it is necessary. Proceed when you can do so safely without interfering with normal traffic flow. Remember, you must have a sufficient gap in traffic before you can continue on at either stop or yield sign locations. Railroad crossbuck sign. This sign is placed at a railroad crossing where the tracks cross the roadway. You should treat the crossbuck sign as a yield sign. Slow down and prepare to stop if you see or hear a train approaching. Refer to Chapter 3 for more information about railroad crossing safety. The do not enter and wrong way signs work as a team. The do not enter sign is put at the beginning of one-way streets and ramps. When you see this sign, do not drive onto that street or ramp in the direction you are heading. Wrong way signs are placed farther down the one-way street or ramp. They are placed there to catch your attention if you accidentally turn onto the street or ramp. The one-way sign means traffic is allowed to move only in the direction the sign is pointing. If you turn onto a one-way street traveling in the opposite direction, you are likely to get into a head-on collision. Divided highway. This sign means the road you are on intersects with a divided highway. The divided highway is really two one-way roadways that are separated by a median or a guide rail. At the first roadway, you can only turn right, and at the second roadway, you can only turn left. Warning signs. Warning signs tell you about conditions on or near the road ahead. They warn you about possible hazards or changes in roadway conditions. They are posted before the condition, so you have time to see what is ahead, decide how you should respond and slow down or change your travel path, if necessary. Warning signs are usually diamond-shaped with black symbols or words on a yellow background. Guide signs. Guide signs provide information about intersecting roads, help direct you to cities and towns, and show points of interest along the highway. Guide signs also help you find hospitals, service stations, restaurants and motels. Usually these signs are horizontal rectangles. Highway, expressway guide signs. The following three signs are examples of highway and expressway guide signs. They are green with white letters. Most highway and expressway signs are posted the same way. For example, there is usually one advance sign which is followed by another advance sign. The third sign then is posted at the exit. Several signs are necessary because the high speed and heavy traffic on highways can cause drivers to miss seeing a single sign. Also, motorists may need to make one or more lane changes to exit. Exit numbers. Exit numbers correspond with the mile markers. This change allows motorists to quickly calculate distances between exits. For example, the distance between exit 95 and exit 20 is 75 miles. If a yellow panel with the message exit only is on a highway sign, the lane below the sign will not continue through the interchange. Instead, the lane will go off of the road to form a ramp. If you are in a lane posted with an exit only, you may change lanes, or you must exit the highway if you stay in this lane. Interstate numbering system. The red, white and blue shield sign indicates a highway is an interstate. These interstates are specially numbered to help motorists find their way through unfamiliar areas. A code is used to show if the route travels mainly east and west or north and south, and to show if the route is in the eastern, middle or western United States. Decoding the interstate numbering system. The numbers on the interstate shield can be a great navigational aid when you understand how they are developed. They generally follow this pattern. 1 or 2 digit, even-numbered interstates are generally east-west routes. Nationally, the numbers increase from I-10 in the south to I-94 in the north. In Pennsylvania, I-76 is in the southern part of the state, and I-84 and I-80 are in the northern part. 1 or 2 digit, odd-numbered interstates are generally north-south routes. Numbers increase from the west coast I-5 to the east coast I-95. In Pennsylvania, I-79 is in the western part of the state, and I-95 is in the eastern part. 3-digit numbered interstate highways connect to other major highways. If the first of the 3 digits is an even number, the highway usually connects to interstate highways at both ends, such as I-276 in Philadelphia. Many times such routes are known as loops or beltways. When the first of the 3 digits is an odd number, the highway is usually a spur route connecting with another interstate at only one end, sometimes going into a city center such as I-180 in Williamsport. Mile markers. Mile markers are used on some highways to indicate the number of miles from the point where the traffic route entered the state or from its beginning, if it does not extend to the state borders. The numbers start at 0 in the western part of the state for east-west roadways and in the southern part of the state for north-south roadways. The numbers increase as you travel east or north and decrease as you travel west or south. For example, when you enter Pennsylvania from the west on Interstate I-80, the mile markers begin at mile 1 and increase as you travel east. Knowing how to read mile markers can help you to know exactly where you are and give an approximate location, if you have to call for roadside assistance. Chapter 3. Learning to drive. Choosing safety first. You have important choices to make, sometimes even before you start your vehicle, that will affect your safety when you are behind the wheel. Begin by making sure you and your vehicle are fit to drive. Vehicle checks. Preparing to drive. 1. Tire safety. Tires are an important part of driving safety. Be sure your tires have adequate tread and air pressure prior to driving your car. Prior to entering the vehicle, check tire pressure using the recommended SI, pounds per square inch, located in the vehicle owner's manual or the driver's side door jamb of the vehicle. Use a tire pressure gauge to check your SI. Check your tires cold, before you've driven or at least 3 hours after you've driven. If your SI is above the number listed on your door jamb, let air out until it matches. If below, add air, or have a tire professional help you, until it reaches the proper number. You may also measure tread depth using the penny test. Once every month, or before you embark upon a long road trip, check your tires for wear and damage problems. One easy way to check for wear is by using the penny test. A. Take a penny and hold Abraham Lincoln's body between your thumb and forefinger. B. Select a point in your tire where the tread appears to be lowest and place Lincoln's head into one of the grooves. C. If any part of Lincoln's head is covered by the tread, you're driving with the safe amount of tread. If your tread gets below that, your car's ability to grip the road in adverse conditions is greatly reduced. Keep the tools you will need to change your tire in your vehicle at all times, for example, spare tire, lug wrench, jack, flashlight, flares and reflective triangles, wheel wedges, a flat tire repair kit and gloves to name a few. For more information on how to change a tire, please refer to page 63. 2. Fluids. Check all fluid levels, for example, engine oil, windshield washer, and fuel and fill as needed as per vehicle owner's manual. 3. Adjust the driver's seat. You must be able to easily reach the pedals and other controls and have a clear view out the windshield. Your owner's manual provides information about how to adjust your vehicle's equipment. 4. Fasten your seat belt. Fasten both your lap and shoulder belts on every trip. Pay attention to the information about Pennsylvania's seat belt law, child restraint law and airbag safety information found in Chapter 5. 5. Secure loose items in the passenger compartment. In a crash, loose items in your vehicle become projectiles that continue to travel the same speed your vehicle was moving before the impact. Put heavier objects, such as backpacks, luggage and tools in your trunk, whenever possible, or secure them with the vehicle's seat belts. Never store items on the rear window deck. 6. Adjust the rear view and side mirrors. To remove blind spots around your vehicle, the rear view and side mirrors may have to be adjusted differently for each driver. The rear view mirror should be set so you can see the traffic directly behind your vehicle. The side mirror should be set so when you lean left, right, you can just barely see the side of your vehicle. Set the mirrors after you adjust your seat. Note: it is against the law to have any object or material hanging from the rearview mirror while moving. You may not hang, place or attach anything to the rearview mirror that might block or impair vision through the front windshield. Tags, permits and placards may only be attached to the rearview mirror when the vehicle is parked. 7. Windshield. It is against the law to place anything on the front windshield that blocks a driver's view of the roadway. 8. Adjust ventilation. You should maintain a constant supply of fresh air in your vehicle. This helps you stay alert and guards against carbon monoxide, exhaust gas poisoning when you drive. Refer to Chapter 6 for more information about carbon monoxide poisoning. 9. Adjust head restraints. A head restraint that properly cushions the back of your head can prevent or reduce the severity of neck injuries in a crash. Adjust your head restraint so the top of the head restraint is at least as high as the top of your ears. Check your owner's manual for instructions. 10. Wear your prescription glasses, contact lenses. If you normally wear corrective lenses, always wear them while driving. Do not wear sunglasses or tinted contact lenses at night. 11. Lock your doors. Locking your doors and wearing your seatbelt will help to ensure you will not be thrown from your vehicle in a crash. Being thrown from a vehicle increases your chances of death by 75%. It will also reduce the likelihood of being carjacked or otherwise victimized when you stop at an intersection or pull into a parking lot. Driver factors. Your vehicle may be ready to go, but your safety depends just as much on the following driver factors. Inattention. Inattention great enough to cause a crash can result from driving distractions or lack of sleep. Driving distractions. Anything that causes you to 1. Take your attention away from driving. 2. Take your eyes off of the road, or 3. Take your hands off of the wheel as a distraction. You will not be able to react as quickly if you are eating, drinking, and smoking. These all create safety problems because they often require you to take your hands off of the wheel and take your eyes off of the road. Drivers who eat or drink while driving have trouble controlling their vehicle, staying in their lane, and have to brake more often. Adjusting audio devices such as radio, cassette, CD, iPod, MP3 player. Note: headphones, earpieces can only be used in one ear for communication purposes. Talking on a cell phone, whether it is hands-free or not. Please refer to Chapter 5 for more information about anti-texting laws. Interacting with other passengers. This can be just as much of a problem, particularly for teenage drivers. If you are a teen driver with other teens as passengers, statistics show you are more likely to have a crash than if you are driving alone or are driving with adult passengers. Searching for or moving an object in the vehicle. Reading, writing, or texting. Personal grooming. Combing hair, applying makeup. Rubbernecking when passing a crash scene or a work zone. Looking at people, objects, or events happening off of the roadway. Lack of sleep. When you are tired, you react slower, your judgment and your vision are impaired, and you have problems with understanding and remembering things. Driving while fatigued has similar effects as driving under the influence of alcohol. Being awake for 18 hours impairs your driving about as much as a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. Being awake for 24 hours in a row impairs your driving as much as having a blood alcohol level of 0.10%. If you are tired enough, you may fall asleep and never even know it. Sleeping behind the wheel for even a few seconds is enough to kill you. Teens who sleep less than 8 hours a night are at increased risk for vehicle crashes. The best thing to do if you begin to feel tired while driving is to stop driving. Health factors. Your driving safety can be affected by problems with vision, hearing, or medical conditions. Have your vision checked every 1 or 2 years. Your peripheral, side, vision, your distance judgment, and your ability to see in low light conditions can deteriorate due to disease and as a normal part of the aging process. You will not always know this and be able to take corrective action, unless your vision is examined regularly. If you need to wear glasses or contacts, make sure you use them every time you drive. Hearing can warn you of dangers you do not see, like another vehicle in your blind spot. Hearing is also important to let you know an emergency vehicle, police, fire, ambulance, is approaching, or to detect a train at a railroad crossing. Various diseases and medical conditions, even little problems like a stiff neck or sore knee, can have a serious impact on your ability to control your vehicle effectively. The most dangerous health problems include seizure disorders that cause loss of consciousness, diabetes, and heart conditions. In Pennsylvania, physicians must report to PennDOT individuals whom they have diagnosed as having a condition that could impair their ability to drive safely. Alcohol and driving. In Pennsylvania and across the nation, drinking drivers are responsible for thousands of traffic deaths and injuries. Approximately 40% of all traffic deaths involve drinking drivers. Recent Pennsylvania statistics show that 30% of drivers ages 16 to 20 who died in motor vehicle crashes had been drinking. This is despite the fact that here in Pennsylvania, as well as in every other state in the U.S., there are zero-tolerance laws, meaning you may not drink if you are under age 21. If you are a driver under age 21 and your blood alcohol concentration, BAC, is 0.02% or more, you are considered to be driving under the influence, DUI. Even the smallest amount of alcohol will reduce your concentration, perception, judgment, and memory, and your driving skills will suffer. No one can drink and drive safely. As alcohol builds up in your blood, your driving errors will increase. Your vision and judgment will be affected, your reactions will slow down, and you will lose your ability to control your vehicle safely and effectively. And, at the same time, alcohol robs your skills, making you feel dangerously confident. So, drinking drivers can be out of control and not even know it. Many people believe only heavy drinking is risky. This is not true. Even drivers whose blood alcohol level is 0.04, half of the legal limit of 0.08 for an adult 21 years of age or older, are between 2 and 7 times more likely to be involved in a crash than drivers who have no alcohol in their blood. Even if your blood alcohol level is well below the legal limit, you will still endanger your life and the lives of others. The only safe amount of alcohol you can drink, and then drive, is 0. Alcohol affects individuals differently. Your blood alcohol level is affected by your age, weight, gender, physical condition, amount of food consumed, and any drugs or medication you have in your system. In addition, different drinks may contain different amounts of alcohol too. Make sure you know how much alcohol is in the drinks you consume. You should consider one drink to be 1.5 ounces of 80 proof liquor, 12 ounces of regular beer, or 5 ounces of wine. To manage your drinking responsibly, do not drink more than 1 drink per hour, if you are of legal drinking age. It takes a person of average weight at least 1 hour to process the alcohol in every drink. More than 1 drink per hour is very likely to push your blood alcohol level over the legal limit. The 1 drink per hour rule does not work for everybody, though. Alcohol is more concentrated in smaller people, and because of the differences in the way our bodies process alcohol, a woman drinking an equal amount in the same period of time as a man of the same weight may have a higher blood alcohol level. Only time will sober you up. You cannot reduce your blood alcohol concentration level by drinking coffee or other caffeinated beverages, or by taking a cold shower. Refer to Chapter 4 for more information about the penalties for underage drinking and driving under the influence. Drugs and driving. Driving impaired is both illegal and deadly. Not only does alcohol impair your ability to drive safely, many illegal, prescription, and over-the-counter drugs can also impair your ability to drive safely. Drugs other than alcohol are involved in approximately 20% of deaths among motorists each year. Additionally, combining drugs and alcohol further increases the side effects and greatly increases the risk of causing a crash. Drugs affect your brain function and can seriously impair your ability to drive safely. For example, marijuana can slow reaction time, impair judgment of time and distance, and decrease coordination. Cocaine or methamphetamine can cause a driver to be aggressive and reckless when driving, and certain kinds of sedatives can cause dizziness and drowsiness. Opioids can make you drowsy and can slow reaction time. Prescription and over-the-counter drugs such as sleeping pills, cough medicines, antihistamines, and decongestants can affect your driving skills in a variety of ways. It is always important to review warning labels about the medication side effects prior to driving. If you have any questions about a medication side effects, it is important to consult with your doctor or pharmacist before driving. Remember, when the warning label states, "Don't operate heavy machinery," your vehicle is considered heavy machinery. If you are concerned about a loved one's or your own substance use, the PA Get Help Now helpline is available at 1-800-662-HELP. 4357. This toll-free resource is staffed 24/7 to answer your questions and connect you to treatment providers. Everyday driving skills. This section begins by highlighting the particular causes of crashes and major crash types among new drivers in Pennsylvania. The safe driving skills listed below are described in this section. Managing space. Negotiating intersections. Managing speed. Negotiating curves. Turning, merging and passing. Negotiating highways and interchanges. Most crashes result from human error. Either the driver fails to understand how to use the vehicle, or the highway system is not paying enough attention to signs, signals, pavement markings, or to the actions of other drivers, or makes poor decisions. Drivers with less than 5 years of experience are most likely to make errors that lead to crashes. A review of the top 10 reasons new drivers in Pennsylvania, 16 and 17-year-olds, ended up in crashes in 2017 is shown below. Young drivers and all drivers should be aware of these critical factors. Driving too fast for conditions. Proceeding without clearance after stopping. Improper or careless turning. Improper driving. Inexperience. Tailgating. Speeding. Over or under compensating at a curve. Distractions. Sudden slowing or stopping. The major types of crashes in which new drivers, 16 and 17-year-olds, in Pennsylvania are involved include: 1. Hitting a stationary object. 2. Crashes where roads intersect, like driveways, entrance ramps, and in intersections. 3. rear-end collisions, and 4. Head-on collisions. About 92% of all crashes and 93% of the deaths resulting from crashes are associated with just these 4 crash types. Avoiding vehicle crashes depends on learning and applying the safe driving skills that are the subject of this chapter. Managing space. If another driver near you makes a mistake, you will need time to react to the situation. The only way to be sure you will have enough time to react is to leave plenty of space between you and the vehicles around you. It is best to keep a space cushion on all sides of your vehicle. Keep a space cushion ahead. 4 second rule. What is a safe following distance? A 4-second following distance will allow you to steer or brake to avoid a hazard safely on the highway, if the pavement is dry. If you are following too closely and the vehicle ahead of you stops or slows suddenly, you will not be able to avoid a crash. Keeping a safe following distance will enable you to react to a problem ahead without the need for a panic stop, which could cause a following driver to crash into the back of your vehicle. To determine your following distance, watch the rear bumper of the vehicle ahead of you. When the bumper passes a road marking or a roadside object like a telephone pole, start counting how many seconds it takes you to reach the same spot on the road. If you pass the marking or object in less than 4 seconds, you are following too closely. Sometimes you will need extra space ahead of you. Allow a longer following distance than usual when traveling on roads that are wet and slippery, or not paved. There is less traction, so it takes longer to stop. The driver behind you wants to pass. There must be room ahead of you for the passing driver to pull in front of you. You are following a driver whose rear view is blocked. Drivers of trucks, buses, vans, or cars pulling campers or trailers may slow down suddenly without knowing you are behind them. You are following a large vehicle blocking your view ahead. You need extra room to see around the vehicle. You are following a driver who is carrying a heavy load or pulling a trailer. The extra weight will make it more difficult to stop. Approaching slow-moving vehicles, including bicycles. You are following school buses, taxis, public and private buses and trucks transporting hazardous substances. These vehicles must stop at railroad crossings and make other, unexpected stops. You are driving downhill. It is harder for your brakes to slow your vehicle, especially at high speeds. You are stopped on an uphill. The vehicle ahead may roll back into your vehicle when traffic begins to move. Keep a space cushion to the sides. A space cushion to the sides will give you room to react if another vehicle suddenly moves into your lane. These areas are your potential escape paths. Key points to remember are: avoid driving alongside other vehicles on multi-lane streets. They block your view and close your escape route, and you are probably in their blind spot. Keep as much space as possible to the side of your vehicle and oncoming vehicles. Direction of travel. Make room for vehicles entering highways by signaling and moving to an inside lane, if it is safe. Keep space between your vehicle and parked vehicles. Someone may open a vehicle door or step out between parked vehicles, or a vehicle may pull out suddenly. If you do not have at least 8 feet of space on at least one side of your vehicle to use as an escape path, you will need to allow more space to the front by increasing your following distance. You will usually drive in the center of your lane, but sometimes, you will find dangers on both sides of the road. As in the example pictured to the right, there may be parked vehicles to your right and oncoming vehicles to your left. In this case, the best thing to do is to slow down and split the difference by steering a middle course between the oncoming vehicles and the parked vehicles. Keep your vehicle where it can be seen. Avoid driving your vehicle in another driver's blind spot. A blind spot is any place around a vehicle a driver cannot see without moving their head. Here are some good rules to help you avoid this mistake. Avoid driving on either side and slightly to the rear of another vehicle for a long time. Both positions are blind spots for the other driver. Either speed up or drop back to move out of the driver's blind spot. When passing another vehicle, get past the other driver's blind spot as quickly and as safely as you can. The longer you stay in the blind spot, the longer you both are in danger. Looking ahead. To avoid last-minute moves, you must look far enough ahead to see and react to things early. You should be able to identify problem situations 12 to 15 seconds ahead, about one block in the city, or a quarter of a mile at highway speeds. Your ability to handle dangerous traffic situations depends largely on searching for and identifying problems far ahead. Looking far ahead does not mean you should simply stare at the center of the road. You need to continually scan the entire road, including the sides of the road. As you scan the driving scene, watch for vehicles and people who enter the road ahead of you and may be moving much slower. A vehicle that has slowed or stopped ahead, waiting for other traffic to clear before making a turn. Signs warning of danger ahead. Signs telling you about places ahead and/or giving you information about how to reach them. Looking to the sides. Looking to the sides is especially important at intersections, driveways, shopping center entrances and exits, and highway entrances and exits, any place where one stream of traffic meets another. When you come to an intersection, follow the left-right-left rule. Look to the left first, because vehicles coming from the left are closer to you. Look to the right. Look again to the left before you pull out. You may see a vehicle you did not see the first time you looked. When you enter the intersection, look left and right again. Do not assume other traffic will always stop, even when there is a stop sign or signal. If your view of the cross street is blocked by buildings, shrubs or parked vehicles, move forward slowly until you can see clearly. Looking behind. You must also check traffic behind you as often as possible. This is very important when you are planning to change lanes or back up. Changing lanes includes changing from one lane to another on a roadway, entering a highway from an entrance lane, entering the roadway from the curb or shoulder. Before you change lanes, give the proper turn signal. Look in your rear view and side mirrors and make sure no one is going to pass you. Do not depend on mirrors or sensors alone. Look over your left and right shoulders to make sure no one is in your vehicle's blind spots. Check these spots quickly. Do not take your eyes off of the road ahead for more than a second. On roads with 3 or more lanes, check all lanes before you make a lane change. Someone in another lane may also be planning to move into the same spot where you want to go. Backing up. When backing up, always check behind your vehicle. Do it before you get in your vehicle. Children or small objects are hard to see from the driver's seat. Before backing up, turn your head so you can see through the rear window. Do not depend on your mirrors or sensors alone. Managing speed. What is a safe speed? How fast is too fast? There are no simple answers to these questions because there is not a single speed that is safe at all times. In addition to the posted speed limit, you must consider road conditions, visibility conditions and the flow of other traffic in choosing a safe speed to drive. Also, when you plan to change speeds, it will help you stay safe by communicating your intentions to other drivers. Posted speed limits. Posted speed limits indicate what the maximum safe driving speed is under ideal road, traffic and weather conditions. The maximum speed limit in Pennsylvania is 70. The maximum speed limit on interstate highways is posted after each interchange. On other highways, the maximum speed limit would be posted at approximately half-a-mile intervals. In school zones, the speed limit is 15 miles per hour when the lights on the school zone sign are flashing or during the time period indicated on signs. School zone speed limits are lower than other speed limits. When the road is wet or slippery, when you cannot see well or when anything else makes conditions less than perfect, drive below the posted speed limit. Even if you are driving within the posted speed limit, you can still be ticketed for driving too fast for conditions. Eco-driving. Safe driving does more than protect you. It saves you money and reduces air pollution. Operating a car involves many expenses, including gas, maintenance, and tires. Drivers and car owners can take a number of steps to minimize these expenses at no additional cost. Smart driving habits to adopt. 1. Slow down. Fuel consumption increases about 5% for every 5 miles per hour driven above 60 miles per hour. 2. Ease up on the pedals. Rapid starts and hard stops can increase fuel usage by 40%, but reduce travel time by only 4%. 3. Drive cool. Avoid driving during the hottest parts of the day. Cooler, denser air can boost power and mileage. 4. Stay cool. Use your car's air conditioner when driving more than 40 miles per hour. 5. Drive to warm up. Even on the coldest days, it only takes 30 seconds to get your vehicle ready to drive. 6. Keep cruising. Get a 7% average fuel savings by using cruise control while driving on flat highways. 7. Follow the light. When your vehicle's onboard diagnostics, OBD, light turns on, it is possible that fuel economy is decreasing and emissions are increasing. If the OBD light comes on, talk with your auto dealer for more information. 8. Drive safely. Keep enough distance between you and other vehicles. Doing so not only protects you, it also prevents wear and tear on your vehicle. 9. Utilize your car. If your vehicle has an eco setting, use it. It will smooth out your gas pedal inputs, optimize transmission shift points, and decrease the impact of air conditioner on the engine. 10. Turn it off. Idling wastes fuel and may be prohibited. If you need to idle, shift to neutral or park so the engine is not working against your brake and consuming more fuel. 11. Drive less. There are multiple ways to reduce costs and save money by driving less. Take public transportation, bicycle or walk, or carpool. Additionally, combining errands saves time and gas. 12. Educate yourself. There are many resources available to get and stay educated about the best safe driving practices. Driving at night. The highest crash rates occur during nighttime hours. Most serious crashes occur in twilight or darkness. Overall, traffic fatality rates are 3 to 4 times higher at night than in daylight. Compared to driving in the day, driving at night is more dangerous. There are several reasons for this. Your vision is severely limited at night. Glare from other vehicles' headlights may temporarily blind you. More people who are tired or who are driving under the influence are likely to be on the road at night. With less light, your ability to judge distances is reduced, your ability to see colors is reduced, and your ability to see things in your side vision is reduced. As a driver, you must always be ready to react if you suddenly see something unexpected on the road ahead of you. A pedestrian, a bicyclist, an animal, etc., and you are much more likely to be surprised at night. Compared to signs and other roadside objects, pedestrians are hardest to see at night. You must use your headlights properly at night and other times, as required by law. Headlights have a dual purpose: to help you see and to help you be seen. Clean your headlights at least once a week. Do it when you buy gas for your vehicle. Dirty headlights may give only half of the light they should. State law requires drivers to use their headlights when they cannot see because of insufficient light on gray days or in heavy traffic when their vehicle may seem to blend in with the surroundings. When there are unfavorable atmospheric conditions, including rain, snow, sleet, hail, fog, smoke or smog. In bad weather, use only low beams. High beams actually reduce visibility under these conditions. When they cannot see pedestrians or vehicles on the highway for a distance of 1,000 feet ahead of the vehicle they are operating. Between sunset and sunrise. When driving through work zones. Anytime your vehicle's wipers are in continuous or intermittent use due to weather conditions. Note: daytime running lights are not enough. Your tail lights must be illuminated as well. Other important safety information about headlights and nighttime driving. When driving at night, use low beams as soon as you see another vehicle approaching in the oncoming lane, as high beams can blind the other driver. Pennsylvania law requires you use low beams whenever you are within 500 feet of an oncoming vehicle and when you are following a vehicle within 300 feet. If a vehicle using high beams comes toward you, flash your high beams quickly a few times. If the driver does not dim their lights, look toward the right side of the road. This will keep you from being blinded by the other vehicle's headlights and will allow you to see well enough to stay on your course until the vehicle passes. Do not try to punish the other driver by keeping your bright lights on. If you do, both of you may be blinded. If glare from a following vehicle's headlights is uncomfortable because it is reflecting in your rearview mirror, you can switch the inside rearview mirror from its daytime to nighttime setting. Do not overdrive your headlights by driving so fast you could not stop in time to avoid a hazard that appears within the length of road ahead lighted by your headlights. Low beam headlights shine only about 250 feet ahead. Even on dry pavement, it takes more than 250 feet to stop if you are moving at 55 miles per hour. To avoid overdriving your headlights on a dark road at night, you should not drive faster than 45 miles per hour. Road conditions. Your ability to stop is greatly affected by the condition of the road. You need to reduce your speed when road conditions are poor, so you can maintain control of your vehicle. You will be at greatest risk if you drive too fast on roads that are slippery, especially on curves. Take turns and curves more slowly when the road is slippery. Wet pavements. All roads are slippery when wet, but be extra careful on roads posted with warning signs that say slippery when wet. Pavements can become very slippery in the first 10 to 15 minutes of a rainstorm. The rain causes oil in the asphalt to come to the surface. This problem becomes even worse during hot weather, when the heat combined with the water causes more oil to rise to the road surface. In cold, wet weather, be extra careful driving on sections of road shaded by trees or buildings. These areas freeze more quickly and dry last. Hydroplaning. At excessive speeds, your vehicle can begin to hydroplane on a wet roadway. Hydroplaning happens when your tires lose their grip on the road and ride like skis on a film of water. The faster you drive on a wet roadway, the less effective your tires become at wiping the water from the road. You can hydroplane at speeds as low as 35 miles per hour, when water is only 1/10 of an inch deep. Worn tires make this problem worse. Hydroplaning can be reduced by driving slower. If you find yourself hydroplaning, do the following. 1. Keep both hands on the steering wheel. 2. Slowly take your foot off of the gas pedal to let your vehicle slow down. Do not slam on the brakes or try to turn suddenly because this will cause your vehicle to skid. As your vehicle slows down, the amount of tire tread touching the road will increase, and you'll begin to get better traction. 3. Turn slowly and only as much as necessary to keep your vehicle on the road. 4. If you have to use your brakes, brake gently. Refer to the section if you have to brake suddenly, later in this chapter for important information about using conventional versus anti-lock brakes in emergency stops. Snow and ice. When driving on snow or ice, you will need to adjust your driving to accommodate any situation. The traction of your tires on the road will be greatly reduced, seriously affecting your steering and braking ability. Also, it is extremely dangerous near 32°C Fahrenheit. When precipitation turns to rain or sleet, a thin layer of water on top of ice is more slippery than ice alone. Watch for black ice, a condition occurring on clear roadways when a thin layer of ice forms due to dropping temperatures. When the road looks wet but no spray is coming from the tires of other vehicles, black ice may be present. Under law, which went into effect July 10, 2006, motorists will face severe fines if snow or ice that falls from their vehicle causes injury or death to other motorists or pedestrians. When snow or ice is dislodged or falls from a moving vehicle and strikes another vehicle or pedestrian causing death or serious bodily injury, the operator of the vehicle from which the snow or ice came is subject to a fine of $200 to $1,000 for each offense. PennDOT urges motorists to remove all ice and snow from their vehicles before traveling. When roads get slick, you should reduce your speed by 5 to 10 miles per hour on wet roads and increase your following distance to 5 or 6 seconds. On ice or snow-covered roads you need to slow down even more. On packed snow, decrease your speed by half. On ice, slow to a crawl. Leave about 10 times more space than normal between you and the vehicle ahead. Apply brakes gently. Ease off if you start to skid and reapply when you regain control. Refer to this section if you have to brake suddenly, later in this chapter for important information about using conventional versus anti-lock brakes in emergency stops. Do not use your cruise control when driving on slippery roads. Snow, ice, slush and rain can cause wheel spin and loss of control. The only way to stop wheel spin and regain control is to reduce power. But an activated cruise control system will continue to apply power, keeping your wheels spinning. Adjust your speed to avoid meeting other vehicles at slippery areas, such as shady spots and frost on bridges during cold weather. This will reduce the risk of skidding into the other vehicle. On icy or snow-packed roads, try to time your arrival at an intersection by letting your vehicle coast until the light turns green and vehicles ahead of you have begun to move. This way, you will not have to brake to stop and then accelerate to begin again. Also, when going uphill, stay far enough behind the vehicle ahead, so you will not need to slow down or stop. Before starting downhill, shift to a lower gear for better control. Visibility conditions. In addition to nighttime, fog and snow are conditions that reduce visibility and can dramatically decrease your ability to see ahead, and to respond quickly and safely to events happening around you. fog is probably the most dangerous driving environment. You cannot see what you are about to hit, and others cannot see you either. Do not start a trip if the fog is so dense you cannot see. If you get caught in dense fog, it's best to pull completely off of the road, preferably into a parking lot, to wait until the fog clears. While parked, turn your hazard lights on to make your vehicle more visible, and keep your seatbelt fastened. When you must drive in foggy conditions, always remember to do these two things. 1. Slow down enough so you can stop safely within the distance that you can see. You will need to carefully check your speedometer because fog takes away most of the visual information that lets you know how fast you are going. This makes it easy for you to speed up without being aware of it. 2. Turn on your low beam headlights and fog lights, if your vehicle has them, so others can see you. Do this whether it is daytime or nighttime. Do not use your high beams. They direct their light up and into the fog, which bounces the light back into your eyes, creating glare and making it even harder for you to see ahead. Snow also can severely limit your visibility. To increase your ability to see when driving in snowy conditions, do these 6 things. 1. Clear all the windows, hood, trunk and roof of your vehicle before starting to drive in the snow. If you don't, snow will blow off of your vehicle and onto your windshield, blocking your view, or could blow off and onto the windshield of a driver who is following you. If snow or ice from a moving vehicle strikes another vehicle or pedestrian causing death or serious bodily injury, the vehicle's driver could be fined. 2. Clear your headlights, taillights and directional signals of snow, ice and dirt. This helps other drivers see you and helps you see what is ahead. A dirty headlight reduces light output by more than 50%. 3. Let the engine warm up before you start driving. It gives the defroster a chance to warm the windshield and melt any ice you could not scrape off. 4. Use your windshield wipers to keep your windshield as clear as possible. Make sure your windshield washer reservoir is full, and you are using fluid that will not freeze. 5. Keep the defroster on to clear steamed windows. If you have a newer vehicle, your defroster may be part of your air conditioning system. Read your owner's manual to learn how your vehicle's defroster settings should be used. 6. Turn on your low beams, even during the daytime. This increases your visibility to other drivers. Headlight, windshield wiper law. This law, which went into effect January 28, 2007, requires motorists to turn on their headlights anytime their vehicle's wipers are in continuous or intermittent use due to weather conditions. Daytime running lights are not enough. Your tail lights must be illuminated as well. Motorists who do not comply with the law may face a fine of $25, but with fees and other associated costs, the penalty would approach $100. Traffic flow. Crashes often happen when some drivers go faster or slower than other vehicles on the road. Always try to drive with the flow of traffic within the posted speed limit. You may need to adjust your speed to maintain your space cushion depending on what traffic is doing around you. For example, when traveling in a pack of vehicles on a highway, you will often find yourself traveling in someone's blind spot with no space cushion for emergencies. When this happens, reducing your speed by just 2 or 3 miles per hour will encourage traffic around you to clear out, so you are no longer closed in. Another time when you may have to adjust to traffic flow is if there is more than one potential hazard ahead you will confront at the same time. For example, with a bicyclist to your right, the safe thing to do is to move left to allow a wide margin when you pass. But, if there is also an oncoming vehicle, this creates a problem because normally you would want to move to the right in your lane. In this circumstance, you should handle this situation by facing only one traffic condition at a time. Slow down to let the oncoming vehicle pass and then move left to pass the cyclist, leaving a sufficient amount of space for safety. Also, when you are approaching an emergency scene, police stop or a tow truck picking up a disabled vehicle, you must move into a non-adjacent lane. If you cannot move over, you must slow to a careful speed. Reactions to slow-moving traffic. Watch out for vehicles that have trouble keeping up with the flow of other traffic, and when entering the roadway, they take longer to pick up speed. These include some large trucks, as well as farm equipment and horse-drawn vehicles. Trucks, especially on long or steep upgrades, typically use their flashers to alert other drivers they are moving slowly. In rural areas, an orange triangle is displayed on the back of farm tractors and horse-drawn vehicles designed to operate at 25 miles per hour or less. This is a slower speed than traffic normally travels. In certain areas of Pennsylvania, It is not at all unusual to find yourself sharing the road with farm tractors and horse-drawn vehicles. Stay a safe distance back, and do not honk to pass. Communicating your intentions to other drivers. Crashes often happen because one driver does something that another driver does not expect. To help avoid crashes, communicate with drivers on the road. Let others know where you are and what you plan to do by signaling when slowing down or stopping. Your brake lights tell other drivers you are slowing down or stopping. If you are going to brake where other drivers may not expect it, quickly tap your brake pedal 3 or 4 times. If you must drive below 40 miles per hour on a limited access highway, use your hazard, 4-way, flashers to warn the drivers behind you. Signaling when changing direction. Signaling tells others you want to make a turn, but it does not give you the right to make a turn. Under Pennsylvania law, you must always use your turn signals at least 100 feet before turning, if you are driving less than 35 miles per hour. If you are driving 35 miles per hour or more, you must signal at least 300 feet before turning. If your vehicle's turn signals do not work, use these hand signals. Using emergency signals. If your vehicle breaks down on the highway, you will need to pull off of the road. Signal. Then carefully exit the roadway, and put on your hazard, 4-way, flashers to warn other drivers. Get as far off of the road as possible, and park in a place where other drivers can see you easily. Lift your hood to let other drivers know your vehicle is disabled. Using your horn. Your horn instantly attracts the attention of other drivers. Use it when you think another driver or a pedestrian does not see you, for example, if a child is beginning to run into the street or if you think another vehicle is about to hit you. Also, if you lose control of your vehicle, alert other drivers by sounding your horn. Turning, merging and passing. You must concentrate on many factors when making a turn. Speed is probably the most important factor. When turning, reduce to a speed that allows you to maintain control of your vehicle, allows you to stay in your lane during the turn and allows you to react to unexpected situations. Watch out for pedestrians and for other traffic in the street you are turning onto. Many streets have signs, signals or markings to guide you. Some signs show what lanes you can or must use for turns. To complete a turn safely. 1. Signal 3 to 4 seconds before your turn. 2. Position your vehicle in the proper lane. 3. Control your speed. 4. Complete your turn in the proper lane. Left and right turns. On two-way streets or highways, make left turns from as close to the centerline as possible. Make right turns from as close to the right edge of the roadway as possible. To turn left on multi-lane streets and highways, start from the left lane. If you are turning right, start from the right lane. If you are turning onto a highway, which has more than one lane in the direction you wish to travel, turn into the closest lane going in that direction. Turn into the left lane when making a left turn, and turn into the right lane when making a right turn. If you want to change to another lane, wait until after you have safely completed your turn. Turning from OR into a center turn lane. If you see a lane in the middle of a two-way street marked on both sides by 2 lines, one solid outer line and one broken inner line, it means this lane may only be used for left turns. Refer to the diagram in Chapter 2. Drivers traveling in either direction must use this lane to begin their left turns, and drivers entering the road may also use this lane to end their left turn from a cross street before entering the traffic stream. There are many possible traffic conflicts in this situation. When you enter the center lane to turn left into a driveway or cross street, you must watch for both oncoming vehicles in the center turn lane and vehicles turning from driveways and cross streets, on your left, into the center turn lane. When you are turning left from a driveway or cross street into a center lane, you must watch for through traffic coming from your left, as well as for drivers who are already in the center lane preparing to make a turn from either direction. Follow the guidelines below to safely use center turn lanes. 1. Put on your left turn signal at least 3 to 4 seconds before entering the left turn lane. 2. Do not get into the center turn lane too soon. The longer you drive in the center lane, the more likely you are to meet someone head-on coming from the other direction. 3. When you enter the center turn lane, enter it completely. Do not leave the back end of your vehicle sticking into the normal travel lane, blocking traffic. 4. Turn only when it is safe. Look for vehicles coming toward you in the same lane, and make sure there is a big enough gap before you turn across oncoming traffic. If entering the center lane from a cross street, watch for through traffic and for center lane traffic preparing to turn. U-turns. These are permitted only if they can be made without endangering other traffic. In choosing a place to make a U-turn, make sure drivers coming from all directions are at least 500 feet away from you, and they can see you clearly. U-turns are not allowed on curves or when you are approaching or nearing the crest of a hill. U-turns are also illegal at locations marked with this sign. Turning right at a red light. Unless you see this sign, you may turn right at a red light if traffic is clear. Before making the right turn, you must always stop first, and yield to pedestrians and cross traffic. If you are turning from a one-way street onto another one-way street, you may also turn left on a red signal after stopping, if traffic is clear and there is not a no turn on red sign. This sign is typically placed beside the road on the near side of the intersection and close to the traffic signal on the far side of the intersection. Crossing traffic. Whenever you cross traffic, you need enough space to do it safely. The amount of space you need to cross traffic depends on the road, weather conditions, and oncoming traffic. Remember, stopping halfway across a street is safe only when there is a turning lane provided in the center median large enough to hold your entire vehicle. If you are crossing or turning, make sure there are no vehicles or pedestrians blocking your path. You do not want to be caught in the middle of an intersection with traffic coming toward you. Even if you have a green light, do not enter an intersection if there are vehicles blocking your way. Wait until you are sure you can clear the intersection before starting to cross it. Do not pull out in front of an approaching vehicle with its turn signal on to enter or to cross a street. The driver may plan to turn into a street or driveway just beyond you, may have changed their mind, or may have forgotten to turn off the signal. This is especially true of motorcycles. Their signals may not turn themselves off. Wait until the other driver actually starts to turn before you go. Use extra caution when crossing traffic in areas with hills or curves, where you cannot see or be seen as well. Merging with traffic. Merging with traffic also demands good driver judgment. Whether you are changing lanes on a highway or entering a highway from a ramp, you need enough space to move safely into the traffic stream. Entrance ramps for highways often have acceleration lanes. These lanes run beside main traffic lanes and should be long enough to allow you to accelerate to the speed of traffic before you enter the highway itself. These lanes also allow drivers on the highway to see you before you enter the road. It is illegal to pass a vehicle ahead of you in an acceleration lane. Follow these 3 steps to merge with traffic from an acceleration lane. 1. Put your turn signal on, and look for an opening in traffic. 2. Accelerate up to the speed of traffic. 3. Merge into the opening in traffic. Passing. Passing is an important part of driving. If not done properly, passing can be a very dangerous or even fatal maneuver. Use the following guidelines. In general, if there is enough clear road ahead of you to attempt a pass, you still must. 1. Look for signs and pavement markings that tell you when you can or cannot pass safely under normal driving conditions. Examples of these can be found in Chapter 2. 2. Look ahead carefully before you start to pass and check for any dangers in the passing area, such as driveways from which a vehicle could enter the roadway during your passing maneuver. 3. Look in your side and rearview mirrors and quickly check your blind spots to make sure there are no vehicles about to pass you when you start to pass. 4. Before passing, make sure the passing lane is clear and give the proper turn signal to show you are going to change lanes. Signal early enough so others will know your plans in advance. 5. After passing, signal your plan to return to your lane. 6. Before you move back into the lane, make sure you can see both headlights on the front of the vehicle you passed in your rearview mirror. When passing, be extra careful in areas where vehicles or pedestrians might enter or cross the road. These places include crossroads and shopping center entrances and exits. Also, a driver turning onto the roadway and into the left lane will not expect to find you in that lane and may not even look your way. On a 2-lane road. Passing on a 2-lane road requires good judgment to avoid a head-on collision because you must use a lane belonging to oncoming traffic. At 45 miles per hour, this translates into 1/4 mile of clear roadway you need to safely pass a slower vehicle. You need to be going about 10 miles per hour faster than the vehicle you are passing. If there are other vehicles ahead of the vehicle you want to pass, you may pass them as well, but make sure you have large enough space in front of that vehicle to move into before you begin your passing maneuver. It is most dangerous to pass at night because you cannot see as far ahead, and it is more difficult to accurately judge distances. If you can only see the headlights of an oncoming vehicle, you are likely to think it is farther away than it really is. Passing on the right. Under certain conditions, you may pass another vehicle on the right. When the driver you are passing is making or signaling a left turn, the driver of the passing vehicle must stay on the berm or shoulder. When driving on a roadway with 2 or more marked traffic lanes in each direction, you may not pass if you are within 100 feet of or crossing any intersection or railroad grade crossing, unless an official traffic control device says you may. You are within 100 feet of any bridge, elevated structure or tunnel. You are approaching or are on a curve or a hill crest, top, restricting your view of oncoming traffic. You are on the shoulder of a multi-lane highway. Negotiating intersections. The law does not give anyone the right of way at intersections, it only says who must yield. Even when one driver is legally required to yield right of way, if they fail to do so, other drivers are still required to stop or yield as necessary to avoid a crash. Never insist on having the right of way, it may result in a crash. Laws governing who must yield in different driving situations are listed below. You must follow these laws, if there are no signs, signals or police present to tell you what to do at the intersection. 1. Drivers must yield to pedestrians when they are a. Crossing at any intersection without a traffic light, with or without a crosswalk. B. Crossing the roadway in marked crosswalks, whether or not at an intersection. C. Walking on a sidewalk crossing a driveway or alley. D. When the driver is turning a corner and pedestrians are crossing with the light. Drivers must always yield to any blind pedestrian carrying a white cane or being led by a guide dog. 2. Drivers turning left must yield to oncoming vehicles going straight ahead. 3. Drivers entering a circular intersection, or roundabout, must yield the right of way to drivers already in the circle. 4. When 2 vehicles approach or enter an intersection from different roadways at or about the same time, drivers coming from the left must yield to vehicles coming from the right. 5. A vehicle entering a public highway from an alley, private road or driveway must wait until the main road is clear. 6. At a 4-way stop, all vehicles must stop. The first vehicle to reach the intersection should move forward first. If 2 vehicles reach the intersection at the same time, the driver on the left yields to the driver on the right. If facing one another, both can proceed with caution, watching for possible turns. Approaching intersections. As you approach an intersection, look for signs, signals and pavement markings telling you what movements are allowed from which lanes. Get into the correct position to turn or to travel through the intersection well in advance. Signs and pavement markings for lane assignment. Many streets have signs or pavement markings indicating a particular lane is to be used for a particular traffic movement. If you end up in a lane marked for turns only when you want to go straight through the intersection, you must make the turn. If you want to turn, but end up in a lane marked for through traffic, you must continue straight through the intersection. At the intersection shown on the right, the signs and markings tell you if you are in the right lane, you may only turn right, and if you are in the left lane, you may either turn left or go straight through the intersection. The signs and markings in the diagram shown to the left include dual left turn lanes. You may turn left from either lane, but the driver next to you may turn left at the same time. Do not change lanes during the turn, as this will cause you to crash into the driver turning next to you. Also, watch out for the driver next to you straying into your turning path. The signs and markings here indicate you must turn right if you are in the right lane. If you are in the left lane, you must turn left. If you are in the center lane, you may either turn left or go straight through the intersection. Traffic signals and stop signs. Your safety at intersections depends a lot on your proper response to the green, yellow and red lights you see on traffic signals and to 2-way and 4-way stop signs. 1-way, wrong way and do not enter signs. Many streets in cities are one-way streets. You will know traffic on a particular street moves in only one direction if you see one-way signs posted at the intersection. Another clue a road is one-way is when you see vehicles parked on both sides of the road headed in the same direction. You will see one-way signs, wrong-way signs and do not enter signs altogether at roads intersecting with divided highways. You can think of a divided highway as two one-way streets. Most have a physical barrier separating traffic moving in each direction. This could be a narrow concrete barrier, or it could be a wide cement or grassy area. You will usually see a divided highway sign in your road as you approach the intersection. Making a right turn onto a divided highway is no different from making a right turn at any other intersection. Make sure you have a safe gap to turn right in front of traffic approaching from your left. There is a special danger in making a left turn onto a divided highway, however. If you do not realize you are turning onto a divided highway, you may turn left before you get to the physical divider and end up in a head-on collision with traffic approaching from your left. You must take notice of the do not enter and wrong way signs. To correctly turn left onto a divided highway, you need to cross the first roadway when there is a safe gap in traffic approaching from your left, and then turn left on the other side of the barrier, when there is a safe gap in traffic approaching from the right on the second roadway. Moving into and through intersections safely. To travel across an intersection with a two-way stop sign, you need about a 6-second gap in both directions to cross a 30 miles per hour street or about a block of clear space to the right and left. At the stop sign, first look to the left, then look to your right for a safe gap, and then quickly check to your left again before proceeding. To turn right, look left, straight ahead, right and then left again to make sure there is no traffic coming. Allow a gap of about 8 seconds between you and any vehicle approaching from the left. To turn left, make sure you have a clear gap to turn in front of oncoming traffic and traffic on the cross street is stopped. If you are turning from a minor onto a major street, allow a 9-second gap between you and any vehicle approaching from the right. It is important when turning left to avoid conflicts with vehicles turning left from the opposite direction. In the diagram at the right, imagine an X at the center of the intersection. By turning before you reach the X, you avoid a tangle turn with the other left-turning driver. By always turning into the lane closest to the center line, you also avoid interfering with traffic coming from the opposite direction making a right turn onto the same street. Most important, never start a left turn until you can see all the lanes you need to cross are clear, and you can safely make the turn. Jug handles. Some roads in busy, commercial areas have a physical barrier dividing traffic moving in opposite directions and signs at the signalized intersections saying no left turn or no U-turn and all turns from right lane. In this situation, the road may be designed with jug handles for making left turns. Instead of making a left turn directly across oncoming traffic, you will use a right turn lane curving back to intersect the major road at a traffic light, then turn left. Circular intersections. Roundabouts and traffic circles are circular intersections where traffic moves counterclockwise, so that all turns into and out of the circle are right turns. This eliminates the risk of head-on, left turn and right angle crashes. Roundabouts have special rules and a special design making them different from traffic circles, however. We will focus on how to use roundabouts since these kinds of circular intersections are replacing the large, old-fashioned and high-speed traffic circles or are being installed in many communities instead of intersections with traffic signals primarily due to their safety and operational benefits. Roundabouts are sometimes installed at the end of the ramp of interchanges. Roundabouts have yield signs at each entry point and yield lines painted on the pavement at each entry point. Most roundabouts also have a destination sign on the approach so you know where each exiting road will take you. How to use a circular intersection. Approaching and entering. 1. When approaching a roundabout, slow down and be prepared to yield to pedestrians in the crosswalk. 2. Pull up to the yield line. Look to the left and check for approaching traffic within the roundabout. Circulating traffic has the right of way. 3. Enter the roundabout when there is an adequate gap in traffic. Exiting the roundabout. 1. Once you have entered the roundabout, proceed counterclockwise to your exit point. You now have the right of way. 2. As you approach your exit, use your right turn signal. 3. Watch for pedestrians in the crosswalk and be prepared to yield. 4. Exit the roundabout. Be prepared for emergency vehicles. Do not enter the roundabout when emergency vehicles are approaching. Pull to the side. If in the roundabout, immediately exit the roundabout and pull to the side. Never stop in the roundabout. Bicyclists. Bicyclists have the option to function as a vehicle or pedestrian when using a roundabout. When acting as a vehicle, they will follow the same rules. Never overtake a bicyclist acting as a vehicle in a roundabout. Pedestrians. Motorists must yield to pedestrians when entering and exiting a roundabout. Pedestrians will utilize crosswalks and splitter islands to cross each leg of the roundabout. Negotiating curves. The most important thing to understand about curves is you cannot beat the laws of physics. Vehicles are heavy, and they have lots of inertia. This means if you are driving too fast on a curve, your vehicle is going to keep moving straight ahead instead of around the curve, no matter how much you try to steer it or slow it down to keep it in your lane. You will either run off of the road, on a left bending curve, or go into the other lane of traffic, on a right bending curve. You do not have to be traveling very fast for this to happen. If the curve is sharp and the road is wet or icy, the most reduction in speed is needed. To maintain control on curves, you must slow down. Do it before you enter the curve. As you approach a curve, you will usually see a yellow diamond warning sign showing how the road bends. If the road bends at a 90-degree angle, you may see a rectangular yellow sign with a large arrow pointing left or right. Some sharp curves also have chevron warning signs placed throughout the turn. These are very helpful at night or in poor visibility conditions. Review the various types of curve warning signs shown in Chapter 2. Here is how you can safely drive through curves. 1. Keep slightly to the right of the lane center on right curves and in the middle of your lane on left curves. 2. The sharper the curve, the more you need to reduce your speed. 3. Look for traffic coming from the opposite direction. A speeder could easily stray into your lane. 4. For guidance about how to steer your vehicle, scan ahead and look at the inside edge of the curve. If there are multiple curves, look at the inside edge of each curve as far ahead as you can see. Negotiating highways and interchanges. Crashes on highways are the most severe because traffic is moving at a high speed. You are at greatest risk at highway interchanges, when you are changing lanes, and when traffic unexpectedly slows or stops, due to congestion. Entering highways. Your first critical decision when entering a highway is to make sure you do not turn onto the exit ramp by mistake and drive head-on into other traffic. The exit ramp will be marked with one-way signs as well as do not enter and wrong-way signs. Sometimes, but not always, the entrance ramp will have a green sign that says highway entrance. If you see a white line on your right and a yellow line on the left, you are headed in the right direction. Some highway entrances and exits are very close together with only a short weaving lane in between. Traffic entering and exiting the highway must share the weaving lane. A potential threat is posed by two drivers who want to use the same space at the same time. If you are the driver entering the highway, you must yield to the exiting driver. Entrance ramps for highways often have acceleration lanes. These lanes run beside main traffic lanes and should be long enough to allow you to accelerate to the speed of traffic before you enter the highway itself. When looking for a gap while driving on a highway entrance ramp, look over your shoulder and in your side mirror. Exiting highways. Get in the proper lane for exiting well in advance. Do not slow down until after you have moved into the exit lane. If you miss your exit, take the next one. Do not stop or back up on the highway. Do not swerve across several lanes to try to make the exit at the last second. Do not cross over the median to try to turn around. These maneuvers are illegal and can be extremely hazardous to your health and safety. Exit ramps have a warning sign to let you know the maximum safe speed. Traveling on highways. Half of the fatal crashes on highways involve vehicles that have run off of the road as the result of speeding and/or driver fatigue. 65 miles per hour is almost 100 feet per second. It takes less than 1 second to run off of the road. When you change lanes to pass a slower moving vehicle on a highway, only change lanes one lane at a time. Use your turn signal every time you change lanes, and turn it on in plenty of time for other drivers to see it. If you see a vehicle about to enter the highway from an on-ramp, a common courtesy is to change lanes to allow the driver to enter the highway more easily. Even though the entering driver is required to yield the right of way to you, such a courtesy on your part keeps traffic moving smoothly. But first check to make sure it is clear around your vehicle. Another risk when driving on highways is inattention due to highway hypnosis. This happens when you stare straight ahead at the roadway for long periods of time, and stop actively scanning ahead, behind and around your vehicle. If you zone out in this way, you are very likely to crash into traffic slowing or stopping ahead of you. Of fatal crashes on highways, 20% involve rear-end collisions. Driver inattention and following too closely account for most of these crashes. Parking. If the street you are on has a curb, park as close to it as you can, but no more than 12 inches away. If it has no curb, pull as far off of the roadway as possible. When you must park on the roadway, use your four-way flashers and give enough room to passing vehicles. Make sure your vehicle can be seen at least 500 feet in both directions. Always park in the direction traffic moves. Make sure your vehicle cannot move. Set your parking brake and shift to park, if your vehicle has an automatic shift, or to reverse or first, if your vehicle has a manual shift. If you are parked on a hill, turn your wheels as shown in the diagram. When parking your vehicle on a downhill with or without a curb, you should turn your steering wheel so your wheels are completely to the right. Except in emergencies or unless a police officer tells you to do so, never stop, stand or park your vehicle at the following places. On the roadway side of a vehicle already stopped or parked along the edge or curb of the street, double parking. On the sidewalk. Within an intersection. On a crosswalk. Along or opposite any street digging or work area. On any bridge or other elevated structure, or in a highway tunnel. On any railroad tracks. Between roadways of a divided highway, including crossovers. Within 50 feet of the nearest rail at a railroad crossing. At any place where official signs prohibit parking. At any place where official signs prohibit stopping. In front of a public or private driveway. Within 15 feet of a fire hydrant. Within 20 feet of a crosswalk at an intersection. Within 30 feet of any flashing signal, stop sign, yield sign or traffic control device located at the side of a roadway. Within 20 feet of a driveway entrance to a fire station. Where your vehicle would prevent a streetcar from moving freely. On a limited access highway, unless official traffic control devices indicate you are allowed. Parallel parking tips. If the street you are on has a curb, you must park as close to it as possible, but no more than 12 inches away. If it has no curb, you must pull as far off of the roadway as possible. Before leaving your vehicle, turn off the engine, remove the key and lock all doors. Check for traffic behind you before you get out. Special circumstances and emergencies. The following pages give you information about how to drive safely and reduce your risk of crashing in these special circumstances, in highway work zones, at railroad crossings, and when you encounter pedestrians, cyclists, trucks, buses or emergency vehicles, and when you must deal with road rage and various driving emergencies. Information about special events and emergencies is useful for motorists to plan their trip. A motorist may choose to avoid undesirable delays, or even potentially unsafe roadway conditions, by checking media, such as www.511pa.com to see if their trip route is clear before they depart. Work zones. Work zones are areas with construction, maintenance or utility work activities and are identified with orange channelizing devices, such as cones, or other temporary traffic control devices. You may encounter a flagger directing traffic and wearing reflective clothing. Warning signs. Advance warning vehicles, or variable message boards may be placed a minimum of 200 feet approaching a work zone. When you see the first sign, pay strict attention to the road, vehicles, equipment and people you could encounter. Some work zones are accompanied by the Pennsylvania State Police. Moving operations, such as line painting, crack sealing and mowing, sometimes use shadow vehicles at the back of the operation to warn motorists that there is a work zone ahead and also serve as protection to the crew. Do not pass a moving operation unless directed to. An active work zone is where workers are located on or near the roadway. Always watch out for construction workers and be prepared for abnormal conditions such as narrow lanes, rough pavement, uneven lanes and abrupt lane shifts. Drivers must yield the right of way to workers and construction vehicles in work zones. By law, You must turn on your vehicle's headlights, not just the daytime running lights, when driving through these areas. You may be fined for failure to use your headlights in an active work zone. Also, fines are doubled for certain violations in active work zones, including speeding. In addition, certain violations will result in a driver's license suspension. A new video about safely driving in and near work zones will soon be available at the Just Drive PA website, www.justdrivepa.org, and will be made available to school-based driver education courses. Be prepared for slow or stopped traffic as you approach a work zone, and follow these safety rules. Plan your trip. You may avoid travel delays if you choose an alternate route around the work zone. Do not use your cruise control in work zones. Double your following distance. The most common crash type in work zones is the rear-end collision. Prepare to change lanes as soon as you see a message telling you your lane is closed ahead. Do not cross a solid white line in a work zone. Stay in your lane. Proceed cautiously and keep moving at a safe speed as you drive through the work zone. Do not slow or stop to watch roadwork. Do not stop within a work zone to ask directions from the workers. Obey flaggers. Their authority overrides conventional traffic control devices. Remember, work zone flaggers can report unsafe motorists, speeders, and aggressive drivers to the police using a police arrest form. Railroad crossings. Most railroad crossings are protected only by an advanced warning sign and a crossbuck. Most crossings do not have gates to stop traffic. You must be especially alert when approaching all railroad crossings. Familiar crossings without much train traffic can be the most dangerous. If you often use such a crossing and do not usually see a train, you may start to believe trains never go by. Believing this can be dangerous. Remember these points at railroad crossings. Always look left, right and then left again as you approach a railroad crossing. Do this even if the crossing is active and the signals are not flashing, they may not be working. If you are stopped at a railroad crossing with more than one track, do not start as soon as the train passes. Wait until you have a clear view down both tracks before you start across. Even with one track, do not start across immediately after a train passes. Check again for another train that may be approaching. Never try to pass someone as you approach or enter a railroad crossing. Do not blindly follow the lead of another vehicle crossing the tracks. If you are following another vehicle, check to make sure you have enough room to get all the way across before you drive onto the tracks. If traffic slows ahead of you, wait for it to clear before starting to cross. Do not ever get trapped on the tracks. If you make the mistake of getting trapped on a railroad crossing and a train is approaching, quickly leave the vehicle and move as far away from the track as you can. Sharing the road with pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorcyclists and moped drivers. Pedestrians and cyclists deserve your respect as a vehicle operator. These groups are all more vulnerable to injury in a crash, yet have rights to use the public roads just as you do. Remember the following safety tips. Pedestrians. Yield to pedestrians crossing at intersections or in crosswalks. Right turn on red means stop, look in all directions, and then turn when it is safe. Look for pedestrians, and allow ample time for them to clear the crosswalk. Always reduce speed, and use extra caution when children are in the vicinity. They may fail to understand the danger and may run out in front of you without looking. You must observe school zone speed limits and stop for school buses when red signals are flashing. School zones and school bus stops are locations with high concentrations of children. Be patient with elderly pedestrians and pedestrians with disabilities. They need extra time to cross a street. Before backing up, always check for pedestrians in your path. Yield the right of way. Slow down and prepare to stop, to blind pedestrians, whether they have a white cane or a guide dog, or are being led by others. When approaching a stopped vehicle from behind, slow down and do not pass until you are sure there are no pedestrians crossing in front of it. When pedestrians do see you, it is never safe to wave a pedestrian into the line of traffic at any time, and especially at unmarked or mid-block locations. Bicyclists. Safety tips. Refer to Chapter 5 for more information. When approaching or passing a bicycle, slow down to a safe speed. After you have passed a bicyclist, do not slow down or stop quickly. A quick stop could lead to the bicyclist crashing into your vehicle. Do not sound your horn close to bicyclists, unless you must do so to avoid a crash. For more information, the Pennsylvania Bicycle Driver's Manual, Pub 380, can be found at http://www.state.pa.us/public/pubs/publications/pub%20380.pdf. Motorcyclists and moped drivers. According to the law, you must allow the motorcyclist moped driver to use one complete lane. Most motorcycle, vehicle or moped vehicle crashes happen at intersections. Usually, the vehicle turns left in front of a moving motorcycle, moped when the driver of the vehicle should have yielded the right of way. Do not assume a motorcycle, moped is turning when you see its turn signal flashing. A motorcycle, moped's turn signals may not turn off automatically, like a vehicle's. Do not pull out in front of a motorcycle, moped until you see it actually turning. Obstacles that may prove minor to a motorist can be deadly to a motorcyclist, moped driver. Be prepared for motorcyclists, moped drivers to make sudden changes in lanes or speed as they attempt to avoid a hazard on the road. Allow the same 4-second following distance or more you would allow for other vehicles. Increase your following distance behind a motorcycle, moped, when road or weather conditions are bad. Sharing the road with trucks and buses. Whether you are sharing the road with a vehicle, truck, bus or other large vehicle, it is important for safety's sake to obey traffic laws, abide by the rules of the road and drive defensively. There are special rules for sharing the road with trucks and buses, and the following are some suggestions you can use to make your trip safer. The key to safer highways is to know the trucks or bus blind spot, no zone. The no zone represents danger areas around trucks and buses where crashes are more likely to occur. Passing a truck. On a level highway, it takes only 3 to 5 seconds longer to pass a truck than a vehicle. On an upgrade, a truck often loses speed, so it is easier to pass than a vehicle. On a downgrade, the truck's momentum will cause it to go faster, so you may need to increase your speed. When vehicles cut in too soon after passing and then abruptly slow down, truck drivers are forced to compensate with little time or room to spare. Make sure there is plenty of space between your vehicle and any vehicle ahead of you in the passing lane so you are not trapped. If the truck begins to pull into your lane, pass quickly without hanging in the truck's blind spot. Keep both hands on the wheel to deal with the effects of turbulence. You may want to stay to the left side of the passing lane. Complete your pass as quickly as possible, and do not stay alongside the other vehicle. Be sure to move back only when you see the front of the truck in your rearview mirror. After you pass a truck, maintain your speed. Think twice about passing on curves where there is a greater danger of error and a higher collision potential. Fact. Allow yourself plenty of time when passing a truck. At highway speeds, it can take up to 30 seconds to safely pass a truck. When you pass, do so quickly. Do not continuously drive alongside a truck. You are in the truck driver's blind spot. After passing, change lanes only when you can see the truck's headlights or front grille in your rearview mirror. Truck passing. When a truck passes your vehicle, you can help the truck driver by keeping to the far side of your lane. You will make it easier for the truck driver if you reduce your speed slightly and then keep your speed steady. In any event, do not increase your speed while the truck is passing you. Trucks have much larger no zones on both sides of their vehicle than passenger vehicles. When you drive in these no zones, you cannot be seen by truck drivers. If you are in a truck's blind spot and it begins to move over into your lane, remain calm and take note of your vehicle's position relative to the front of the truck. Decide whether to speed up or slow down to avoid a collision. Consider the shoulder as an escape route. When you meet a truck coming from the opposite direction, keep as far as possible to the side to avoid a sideswipe crash and to reduce the wind turbulence between your vehicle and the truck. Remember, the wind turbulence pushes vehicles apart. It does not pull them together. Maintain plenty of cushion between your vehicle and any vehicle ahead of you. Following a truck. Because of their size, trucks need longer distances to stop. However, a vehicle following too closely still may not be able to stop quickly enough to avoid rear-ending the truck. If you are following a truck, stay out of its no zone. Avoid following too closely and position your vehicle so the truck driver can see it in their side mirrors. You will then have a good view of the road ahead, and the truck driver can give you plenty of warning for a stop or a turn. You will have more time to react and make a safe stop. When following a truck or bus, if you cannot see the side mirrors of the vehicle in front of you, the driver of the large vehicle cannot see you. Leave plenty of room between you and the truck when coming to a stop on a hill. Trucks may roll back as a driver takes their foot off of the brake. When you follow a truck or any vehicle at night, always dim your headlights. Bright lights from a vehicle behind will blind the truck driver when they reflect off of the truck's large side mirrors. Fact: at least 4 seconds are needed to keep you out of the truck's rear blind spot, and here's an easy method to compute the correct distance. As a truck passes a stationary object alongside the road, start counting 1001, 1002, etc. You should reach 1004 just as your front bumper reaches the same object. If you arrive before 1004, you are traveling too close to the back of the truck. Turns. Pay close attention to truck turn signals. Truck drivers must make wide turns so the rear of the truck or the rear of a tractor trailer can clear the corner or any other standing obstructions. Sometimes, space from other lanes is used to clear corners. To avoid a crash, do not pass until the turning action is complete. Again, pay close attention to turn signals. Refer to the example below. Fact: trucks make wide turns. It may look like trucks are going straight or turning left when they are actually making a right turn. This technique, combined with blind spots alongside the trailer, makes trying to pass a turning truck a dangerous maneuver. Truck drivers cannot see vehicles squeezing in between them and the curb. Stay put, and give truck drivers plenty of room to turn. Oversized loads. Oversized loads are accompanied by pilot vehicles. Oversized load movements operate the same as tractor trailers and should be treated with the same rules as trucks. Most oversized loads operate within prescribed lanes. However, due to their excessive width, obstacles on the berm could cause them to cross the yellow or white line. Pilot vehicles are required by law to help warn motorists of oversized loads and/or slow-moving vehicles. Pilot vehicles are required to have special signs and lights to help identify them as such, and drivers should be aware that when they are seen they are approaching an oversized vehicle. When you see these vehicles, please take extra caution. Backing crashes. Never try to cross behind a truck preparing to back up. Often, when a truck driver is preparing to back the truck from a roadway into a loading area, there is no choice but to temporarily block the roadway. It is here that some drivers and pedestrians attempt to pass behind the truck rather than wait the few seconds for the truck to complete its maneuver. In passing close behind the truck, the driver or pedestrian enters the truck's no zone, and a crash may occur. Braking. Unlike the hydraulic brakes on vehicles, trucks and buses may have air brakes and take longer distances to stop. A loaded truck with good tires and properly adjusted brakes, traveling at 65 miles per hour on a clear, dry roadway, requires a minimum of 600 feet to come to a complete stop, compared to the stopping distance of 400 feet for a passenger vehicle. It is essential to refrain from entering a roadway and, if you are turning off of the roadway, to avoid changing lanes in front of a large vehicle. Escape ramps. On long downgrades, there may be special escape or runaway ramps for trucks. These ramps are to be used only by large vehicles that are out of control or cannot stop because of brake failure. Never stop or park in the vicinity of these ramps. Buses. Buses are vehicles that also take up more room on a road than an ordinary vehicle. The same procedures should be followed when sharing the road with a bus or truck. School buses. Pennsylvania has special rules you must follow when you drive near a school bus. These rules protect children and drivers. When a school bus is preparing to stop, its amber, yellow lights will begin flashing. When the bus stops with its red lights flashing and its stop arm extended, you must stop at least 10 feet away from the bus, whether you are behind it or coming toward it on the same roadway or approaching an intersection at which the school bus is stopped. Remain stopped until the red lights stop flashing, the stop arm has been withdrawn, and the children have reached a safe place. There is only one exception to the school bus stopping requirement. If you are approaching a school bus that is stopped with its red lights flashing and stop arm extended and you are driving on the opposite side of a divided highway, for example, concrete, metal barriers, guide rails or trees, rocks, streams, grass median, you do not have to stop. Reduce your speed and continue driving with caution. Check out this graphic that helps illustrate Pennsylvania's school bus stopping law. https://www.penn.gov/travelinfo/safety/traffic-safety-and-driver-topics/pages/school-bus-safety.aspx. Emergency vehicles and situations. Certain vehicles have sirens and flashing red lights or a combination of flashing red and blue lights. The lights assist emergency vehicles to move quickly through traffic and to answer emergency calls. Emergency vehicles include fire department vehicles, police cars, ambulances, blood delivery vehicles, and specially equipped vehicles from rescue organizations. Watch out for them. When you hear a siren or see a vehicle approaching from any direction with flashing red lights or a combination of red and blue lights, you must pull over to the curb or side of the road and stop. Drive parallel and as near to the curb as possible. On one-way streets, drive toward the nearest roadside and stop. Stay clear of intersections. Start driving again after the emergency vehicle passes you, keeping at least 500 feet away from it. Make sure another emergency vehicle is not coming. During an emergency situation, all drivers must obey the direction of any uniformed police officer, sheriff, constable, or any properly attired person, including fire police. Take sirens seriously, and make way for an ambulance, fire truck, or police vehicle. Someday you may be the one calling for help, or the life on the line might be a friend or family member. Steer Clear Law. The Steer Clear Law, which went into effect September 8, 2006, requires motorists to move into a lane that is not adjacent to an emergency response area. An emergency response area is an area on or near a road where services are being provided by police, sheriffs, coroners, medical examiners, firefighters, fire police, fire marshals, rescue personnel, emergency medical service personnel, towing and recovery personnel, hazardous material response team members, and/or highway construction and maintenance personnel. If drivers cannot move over because of traffic or other conditions, they must reduce their speed. In cases where law enforcement may not be present, the law allows road workers and emergency responders to report violations by motorists. Law enforcement may issue citations based on these reports. Failure to move over or slow down can result in a summary offense that carries a fine of up to $250 for a first offense, $500 for a second offense, and $1,000 for a third and subsequent offense. In addition, fines will be doubled for traffic violations occurring in work zones areas. If the violation of this law leads to the serious injury or death of another person, a 90-day license suspension and a fine of up to $1,000 could result. If the violation of this law leads to the serious injury or death of a highway worker or an emergency responder, it could lead up to a 1-year license suspension and a fine of up to $10,000. Horse-drawn vehicles and horseback riders. There are some important things to keep in mind in areas where you may encounter horse-drawn vehicles or horseback riders. Many horse-drawn vehicles are dark in color and therefore are difficult to see at dawn, dusk, or night. When following or stopped behind a horse-drawn vehicle, be sure to leave plenty of room between the two vehicles. After stopping, horse-drawn vehicles often roll backward, and following too close limits the horse-drawn vehicle driver's ability to see you. This will also provide adequate space for when you prepare to pass. When you pass a horse-drawn vehicle or horseback rider, do not drive too fast or blow your horn, as this may spook the horse. Also, to avoid spooking the horse after passing, be sure to leave enough space between your vehicle and the horse before pulling back into the right lane. Always remember, when on the road everyone has the same rights. Passengers in an open-bed truck. An open-bed pickup truck or open flatbed truck may not be driven at a speed of more than 35 miles per hour, if any person is occupying the bed of the truck. Such a truck may not be driven when a child under 18 years of age is occupying the bed of the truck. Exceptions to this law are a child of a farmer, who is being transported between parts of a farm or farms owned or operated by the farmer in order to perform work on the farm or farms. A child employed to perform farm labor, who is being transported between parts of a farm or farms owned or operated by the child's employer or employers. A child possessing a valid hunting license, who is being transported between a hunting camp and a hunting site or between hunting sites during hunting season. A child, who is a participant in an officially sanctioned parade, only during the course of the parade. Snowplows. Plow drivers removing snow in the winter have very limited visibility in their mirrors. Plows must often turn around, and their drivers cannot see you behind them. Be sure to follow at a safe distance. This will help protect your vehicle from being damaged by the salt, de-icing liquids and anti-skid pellets thrown from snowplows. Also, these vehicles may have wing plows that stick out several feet on either side. These are difficult for drivers to see in bad weather or at night and have been involved in multiple sideswipe accidents. To be safe, you should not attempt to pass a plow, either on the left or on the right. Dealing with road rage. Never take your anger out on someone else on the road. Sometimes incidents of road rage are caused by simple misunderstandings between drivers. One driver may make a momentary error in judgment that another driver sees as an aggressive act, though none was intended. Never take it personally when someone cuts you off or pulls in front of you. Just let it go, and ignore the other driver. If something does happen, do not retaliate. It is a serious distraction to focus your attention on a contest with another driver. You are less able to respond to traffic signs, signals and the actions of other vehicles or pedestrians, as needed to avoid a crash. Do not try to teach another driver a lesson. Do not insist on being right, even if you are right. You could be dead right. Here are some tips to help you stay safe if you encounter an aggressive driver. Make every attempt to get out of the aggressive driver's way. Do not block the passing lane. If someone demands to pass, let them go. Do not challenge an aggressive driver by speeding up. It will just make the driver angrier and endanger you. Avoid eye contact with a hostile driver. Ignore gestures, and do not gesture back. Call the police or 911, if you have a hands-free device and can do it safely, or have a passenger call. If an aggressive driver pursues you, do not go home. Instead, drive to a police station, convenience store or other location where you can get help and there will be witnesses. Dealing with driving emergencies. If you are like most drivers, you will not have the chance to practice how you would act in an emergency before it happens, but knowing what to do in certain critical driving situations can still make a difference. Taking the wrong action or no action when something goes wrong obviously will increase your chances of crashing your vehicle. Steering your way out of an emergency. When you have a choice of either braking or steering to avoid a collision, it is usually better if you can steer to avoid the hazard than to brake, particularly at speeds above 25 miles per hour. This is because your reaction time to swerve is faster than your reaction time to brake. But you must have good steering skills to keep control of your vehicle in an emergency. As a general rule, you should be holding the steering wheel with both hands. This is especially important in emergencies because evasive steering requires you to turn the steering wheel quickly, at least 1/2 turn in one direction, and then turn the wheel back almost a full circle in the opposite direction. Once you clear the object, you then return to center steering to continue moving in your original direction of travel. At higher speeds, less steering input is needed to move your vehicle to the left or right. Get into the habit of holding the steering wheel as shown at right. If you think of the steering wheel as a clock face, your hands should hold the wheel at either the 9 and 3 o'clock position or the 8 and 4 o'clock position, whichever is the most comfortable. Keep your thumbs along the face of the steering wheel instead of gripping the inside of the rim. By keeping your hands in this position on the wheel, you will be less likely to overcorrect during an emergency steering maneuver, which could cause you to spin out of control or run off of the road. It is less likely the airbag will throw your arms and hands back into your face, maybe even breaking them, if you are involved in a crash. Your arms will be more comfortable and less fatigued during long drives. A 10, 10, and 2 o'clock hand position is acceptable. However, if your airbag deploys, you are at risk of injury. There are 2 ways to use the steering wheel to make a turn. In the hand-over-hand method, the driver reaches across the steering wheel to grasp the opposite side and pulls the wheel over the top, repeating as needed. In the push-pull method, one hand pushes up on the steering wheel while the other hand slides to the top and then pulls the wheel down, repeating the action until the turn is complete. If you cannot avoid a collision, remember this. Injury prevention in a crash depends mostly on wearing your seatbelt properly, having your head restraints properly adjusted, having an airbag in your vehicle and being positioned at least 10 inches away from your airbag. If you have to brake suddenly. If you need to hit your brakes in a hurry, your safety depends on knowing whether your vehicle has conventional or anti-lock brakes, ABS, and how to use them. Without ABS, press and release the brakes repeatedly. Pumping the brakes will slow your vehicle and keep it under control. Slamming on the brakes can lock your wheels, causing your vehicle to skid. With ABS, maintain firm and continuous pressure on the brake. Your vehicle will not skid. Do not pump the brake pedal. Do not be alarmed by mechanical noises and/or slight pulsations. You should check your owner's manual to determine what kind of braking system your vehicle has. Do this before you get into an emergency. Knowing how to apply your brakes in an emergency situation may save your life. If your vehicle starts to skid. If your vehicle starts to skid on a wet or icy road, look and steer in the direction you want to go. If the rear of your vehicle is skidding to the left, turn the wheel to the left. If the rear of your vehicle is skidding to the right, turn the wheel to the right. When you steer to correct a skid, another skid may result in the opposite direction, but the second skid will not be as bad as the first. Be ready to stop the second skid the same way, by steering in the direction the rear of your vehicle is skidding. It may take a few of these corrections before you have fully regained control of your vehicle. When skidding, do not use your brakes. If you hit the brakes, the skid will be worse. You risk locking your wheels and losing all steering control. Flooded roadways. On flooded roadways, even at low speeds, as little as 6 inches of water can cause you to lose control of your vehicle or truck and can float some small vehicles. 2 feet of water will carry away most vehicles, including sport utility vehicles, SUVs. Once a vehicle floats off of the roadway into deeper water, it may roll and fill with water, trapping the driver and passengers inside. If there is moving water on the road, the safest thing to do is find another route. Note: it is against the law to drive around or through signs or traffic control devices that close a road or highway due to hazardous conditions. For more information on the law and its penalties, see Chapter 5. If your accelerator sticks. If the accelerator, gas pedal, sticks, your vehicle may keep going faster and faster. If this happens: 1. Keep your eyes on the road. You can tap the pedal a few times to see if it will spring back to normal, or you may be able to lift it with your toe, but do not reach down to try to free the pedal with your hand. 2. Shift to neutral immediately and use the brakes if the pedal remains stuck. This will cause your engine to race, but the power will be removed from your wheels. 3. Concentrate on steering and pull off of the road when you have slowed down to a safe speed. Stop. Turn off the engine, and put on your emergency flashers. Note: if you need to slow or stop quickly, turn your ignition to off. Do not turn it to lock because you will lose steering ability. Then, apply your brakes. It will require more effort to steer and brake with your ignition off. If your vehicle has brake failure. In newer vehicles, a split braking system reduces the possibility of total brake failure. If your brake system warning light comes on, you may have braking in 2 of the 4 wheels, probably 1 front wheel and 1 rear wheel. This will allow you to pull over to the side of the road or into the next service station. You will feel the brake pedal go down farther than usual before the vehicle begins to slow, and you will need to push harder on the pedal. Your stopping distance is increased, so be aware of where your vehicle is headed. Shifting to a lower gear will help you slow down. If you have an older vehicle and your brakes suddenly fail, you should: 1. Shift to low gear and look for a place to slow to a stop. 2. Pump the brake pedal quickly several times. This will often build up enough brake pressure to stop the vehicle. 3. Use the parking, emergency, brake if pumping the brake pedal does not work. Hold the brake release so you can let off of the parking brake, if the rear wheels lock, and you begin to skid. 4. Keep your eyes focused on where you are going, and look for a safe place to pull off of the road. Look for an open place to steer into, or steer into an uphill road. 5. Turn your ignition off as a last resort, if the vehicle still will not stop and you are in danger of crashing. Do not turn it to the lock position because this will also lock your steering. Then, shift into your lowest gear. This could damage your transmission, so only do this as a last-ditch effort to keep you from crashing. After you have stopped your vehicle, call for help. Do not try to drive. If you have a tire blowout. Sometimes thumping noises start before a tire blows out, but you usually will not know ahead of time when a tire will blow. You should protect against blowouts by keeping your tires in good condition and properly inflated. When a front tire blows out, your steering wheel will vibrate, and you will feel the vehicle suddenly pull to one side. When a rear tire blows out, one corner of the vehicle will drop suddenly, and you will feel the rear of the vehicle wobble back and forth. If one of your tires blows out, do the following. 1. Hold the steering wheel tightly. 2. Stay off of your brake. Braking after a blowout will cause you to skid and lose control of your vehicle. 3. Slowly take your foot off of the gas pedal. 4. Steer where you want to go, but steer smoothly. Do not make large or jerky steering actions. You can ride on a flat tire as long as you need to, in order to get to a safe spot to pull over and change it. If you have to use your brakes, press them gently. Let the vehicle slow to a stop. Make sure it is off of the road before you change the tire. How to change a flat tire. Keep the tools you will need to change your tire in your vehicle at all times. For example, spare tire, lug wrench, jack, screwdriver, flashlight, flares and reflective triangles, wheel wedges, flat tire repair kit, gloves, etc. Basic instructions for changing a tire. Note: the process may differ from vehicle to vehicle, so please consult the vehicle owner's manual. 1. Park the vehicle on a flat surface that is away from traffic and as far off of the road as possible. 2. Apply the parking brake and secure the vehicle by placing bricks, wooden wedges, or wheel chocks at both the front and rear of any one of the remaining good tires. 3. If the vehicle has a wheel cover or a hubcap, carefully pry it off by using a screwdriver or the flat end of the lug wrench. 4. While the vehicle is on the ground, loosen the lug nuts by using the end of lug wrench that fits the lug nuts of the vehicle. During this step, do not fully remove the lug nuts from the lug bolts. 5. Place the jack on solid ground securely under the frame or suspension of the vehicle, and/or by consulting the vehicle owner's manual for proper placement of the jack. Raise the vehicle with the jack until the tire is approximately 6 inches off the ground. 6. Completely remove the lug nuts and place them in a safe area. Inside the wheel cover or hubcap works well. Remove the defective tire by grasping it with both hands and pull it straight and evenly off of the lug bolts. 7. Install the spare wheel tire onto the wheel lug bolts and install all of the lug nuts by hand. After the nuts are correctly threaded on the lugs, the lug wrench may be used to tighten the nuts, but only use minimal pressure. Do not fully torque the nuts at this time. 8. Slowly lower the vehicle onto the ground, but do not remove the jack from under the vehicle at this step. 9. After referring to the vehicle operator's manual for the proper torque sequence and torque specs, tighten the lug nuts using the lug wrench. 10. Secure the jack, tire, wheel, tools, and safety equipment in the trunk of the vehicle. If the vehicle has wheel covers or hub caps, the owner's manual should provide the instructions for installation. If the vehicle has center caps, place the center cap against the wheel and evenly tap it into place by using the heel of the hand. Verify the securement of the wheel cover or center cap before driving off. If your vehicle drifts off of the pavement onto the shoulder, a serious crash can result. If you do not know how to recover steering control after experiencing a drop-off along the edge of the road where the shoulder is lower than the pavement. A drop-off can happen if you are driving too close to the edge of the road or if you drive too fast through a curve and allow your front tire to drift off of the road. Drop-offs are fairly common, especially on rural roads. They can also occur where roads are being resurfaced, and there is a ledge at the shoulder. A drop-off can quickly become an emergency if you do not know how to recover from it. The most important things to remember are: do not steer sharply, and do not brake suddenly. If you turn the wheel sharply to get back onto the road, it can cause the vehicle to whip sideways and cross into oncoming traffic. If you brake hard with 2 wheels on the pavement and 2 wheels on a soft shoulder, the vehicle will probably skid out of control. Here is what you should do if you drift off of the pavement. 1. Ease off of the gas pedal to slow down when your 2 wheels on the right side both go off of the pavement. Do not brake suddenly. If you must brake to avoid a hazard on the shoulder, use gradual, controlled braking to avoid locking the wheels. 2. Keep a tight grip on the steering wheel, and steer parallel to the roadway with 2 wheels on the roadway and 2 wheels off, straddling the drop-off edge. Keep the tires from scraping the edge of the pavement. Stay calm and keep a firm grip on the steering wheel. A soft or wet shoulder will pull your vehicle to the right. Do not steer sharply, trying to get back on the road. 3. Continue to slow gradually until you are traveling very slowly, less than 25 miles per hour and preferably closer to 10 miles per hour, and you have your vehicle under control. Check for traffic approaching from the rear in the lane you will re-enter. Turn on your left turn signal. Gently steer left to ease the right wheels onto the pavement when it is clear. As soon as you feel your wheels come back onto the road, gently steer right to straighten out. Speed up to match the flow of traffic once you are safely back on the pavement and in complete control of your vehicle. If another vehicle is approaching head-on in your lane, first, honk your horn to attract attention. If the other driver does not move over, try to escape to the right, if possible. If you swerve left and the other driver corrects at the last instant, you will still crash. If a collision is unavoidable, brake firmly and steadily. Every mile per hour you slow down will reduce the impact. Funeral procession. If you see a funeral procession on the road, yield to vehicles in the procession. Once the lead vehicle has cleared an intersection, the rest of the procession may proceed through the intersection. Other traffic must yield. Allow the procession to pass, and do not cut in and out of the procession, unless you are directed otherwise by a police officer or an agent or employee of the funeral director during a funeral. All vehicles in a funeral procession must have their headlights and emergency flashers turned on and bear a flag or other insignia designating them as part of the procession. Vehicles in a funeral procession may also have a flashing or revolving purple light displayed on the vehicle during the procession. Drivers in funeral processions may proceed through a red light or stop sign, if the lead vehicle starts through the intersection while the light was green. In the case of a stop sign, the lead vehicle must first come to a complete stop before proceeding through the intersection. Funeral processions must yield to emergency vehicles. Chapter 4. Driving Record Information. The Pennsylvania Point System. The purpose of the point system is to help to improve driving habits and to ensure safe driving. Points are added to a driving record when a driver is found guilty of certain driving violations. PennDOT begins to take corrective action when a driving record reaches 6 or more points. When a driving record reaches 6 or more points for the first time, the driver will receive a written notice to take a written special point examination. When the driving record is reduced below 6 points and reaches 6 or more points for a second time, the driver will have to attend a departmental hearing. Further accumulations of 6 or more points will result in additional departmental hearings and/or suspensions of your driving privilege. In addition to these requirements, the driving privilege of a person under the age of 18 will be suspended if that person accumulates 6 or more points or is convicted of driving 26 miles per hour or more over the posted speed limit. The first suspension will be for a period of 90 days. Any additional occurrences will result in a suspension of 120 days. A table showing the number of points given for specific traffic violations can be found at www.dmv.pa.gov, in the Pennsylvania Point System fact sheet. Point removal for safe driving. 3 points are removed from a driving record for every 12 consecutive months in which a person is not under suspension or revocation or has not committed any violation, which results in the assignment of points or the suspension or revocation of the driving privilege. Once a driving record is reduced to 0 and remains at 0 points for 12 consecutive months, any further accumulation of points is treated as the first accumulation of points. Suspensions and revocations. Your driving privilege will be suspended or revoked if you are convicted of any one of the following traffic violations. This is only a partial listing. Operating a vehicle while under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Felony involving a vehicle. Homicide by vehicle. Reckless driving. Racing on highways. Fleeing from a police officer. Driving when your driver's license is already suspended or revoked. Driving without lights to avoid identification. Failure to stop when you are driving a vehicle involved in a crash, hit and run offense. Second or any additional offense of driving without a valid driver's license within a 5-year period. Failure to stop for a school bus with its red lights flashing and stop arm extended, 60-day suspension. Failure to comply with a railroad crossing gate or barrier, 30 days suspension. If your driving privilege is going to be suspended, revoked, and/or disqualified, sanction. A written notice will be mailed to you listing the date when the sanction will begin. Your driver's license and/or learner's permit or camera card must be returned to the Bureau of Driver Licensing by the effective date of the sanction listed on the notice, or the state police and local police will be notified to pick up the driver's license. All suspensions, revocations, and disqualifications, sanctions, will start on the effective date listed in the notice of sanction, regardless of when a driver's license or acknowledgement form is surrendered. Surrendering either of these items prior to the sanction effective date will not start the sanction early. By law, a driver's license or an acknowledgement form must be surrendered. You may appeal the sanction in the Court of Common Pleas, Civil Division, in your county of residence. The appeal must be filed within 30 days of the mailing date of the department's notice. In addition to serving the sanction, all restoration requirements must be satisfied before your driving privilege will be restored. After your driving privilege is restored, your driving record will show 5 points, regardless of the number of points that appeared on your record before your driving privilege was suspended, except in the cases of a 15-day suspension resulting from a hearing for the second accumulation of 6 points. Suspension for failing to respond to a citation. Driving without insurance. According to Pennsylvania state law, you must maintain automobile liability insurance in your registered vehicle at all times. If PennDOT finds your vehicle was not covered by insurance for a period of 31 days or longer, your registration will be suspended for 3 months. In addition, if you operated or permitted the operation of your vehicle without insurance, your driving privilege will also be suspended for a period of 3 months. In order to have your driving privilege and registration restored, you must submit the following. A. Proof your vehicle is currently insured. B. The required restoration fees. What to do if you are stopped by the police. Law enforcement officers issue written traffic citations to persons who are charged with violating the Pennsylvania motor vehicle law. You must follow the directions of the officer at the time of the stop, or you may be subject to arrest. You will know a police officer wants you to pull over when they activate the flashing red and blue lights on top of the police vehicle. In some instances, an unmarked police vehicle may be equipped with a flashing red light only. Anytime a police vehicle stops behind you, for your safety and the safety of others, police recommend you do the following. Activate your turn signal and drive as close as safely possible to the right edge of the road, stop, and park your vehicle safely away from traffic. Turn off your engine and radio, and roll down your window so you can communicate with the officer. Turn on your vehicle's interior light as soon as you stop and before the officer approaches, if it is nighttime. Limit your movements and the movements of your passengers. Do not reach for anything in the vehicle. Alert the officer immediately, if you are transporting any type of firearm. Place your hands on the steering wheel, and ask any passengers to have their hands in view. Keep your vehicle doors closed as the officer approaches, and stay inside your vehicle, unless the officer asks you to get out. Keep your seatbelt fastened until the officer has seen you are appropriately restrained. Wait until the officer asks you to retrieve your driver's license, registration and insurance cards. Do not hand the officer your wallet, just the requested items. Always be polite. The officer will tell you what you did wrong. You may receive only a warning, or you may be cited for a traffic violation. If you disagree with the citation, you are entitled to a court hearing where you can present your arguments. It is not in your best interest to argue with the officer at the scene. If you believe you have not been treated in a professional manner, you should contact the appropriate police department at a time following the traffic stop, and ask for a supervisor. Remember, police lights can be red and blue, or could be red only on unmarked police vehicles. You may also see flashing white lights used in addition to these lights. If the vehicle is flashing only blue lights, then it is not a police officer. If you see flashing red and blue lights or flashing red lights only and you are still not certain the person pulling you over is actually a police officer, you may drive to the nearest well-lit, populated area, but acknowledge you understand the request to stop by turning on your flashers and driving at a reduced speed. You may ask the officer for identification, and should do so if the individual who has stopped you is not in uniform or has an unmarked vehicle. Most officers in unmarked vehicles are wearing police uniforms, and police officers always possess a photo ID card and a badge. Crashes. Do not stop at a crash unless you are involved or if emergency help has not yet arrived. Keep your attention and your driving and keep moving. watching for people who might be on or near the road. Do not block the way for police, firefighters, ambulances, tow trucks and other rescue vehicles. If you were in a crash, you should do the following. 1. Stop your vehicle at or near the crash scene. If you can, move your vehicle off of the road so you do not block traffic. Many crashes are caused when traffic stops or slows for an initial crash. 2. Call the police if anyone is hurt or dies. If the drivers of the vehicles are hurt and cannot call the police, then witnesses at or near the crash scene must call for help. 3. Call the police if any vehicle needs to be towed. 4. Get the information listed below from the other driver involved in the crash. Names and addresses. Telephone numbers. Registration numbers. Insurance company names and policy numbers. 5. Get the names and addresses of other individuals involved in the crash and any witnesses of the crash. 6. If the crash involves a parked vehicle or damage to property, stop immediately and try to find the owner. If you cannot find the owner, leave a note in a place where it can be seen and call the police. The note should include the date and time of the crash, your name and a telephone number where you can be reached. 7. If the police do not investigate a crash and someone has died or been injured, or if a vehicle must be towed, send a driver's accident report form, A600, within 5 days to PA Department of Transportation, Bureau of Highway Safety and Traffic Engineering, P.O. Box 2047, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 17105-2047. Fleeing or eluding police. Each year, there are about 450 crashes caused when a driver attempts to flee or elude police, resulting in 40 to 50 major injuries or fatalities on Pennsylvania roadways. If a driver is convicted of fleeing or attempting to elude police, the penalty is a 1-year suspension of the driving privilege, a fine of $500, plus court costs and other fees, and could include imprisonment. Driving under the influence of alcohol or a controlled substance. What constitutes a DUI, driving under the influence? The penalties for driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs are severe. In Pennsylvania, if you are of legal drinking age, 21 or older, you are considered to be driving while under the influence if your blood alcohol level is 0.08 or higher. But, you also may be convicted of DUI at lower BAC levels, if you are stopped by police for driving erratically, too slow, too fast, straddling your lane, making wide turns, stopping for no reason, failing to obey traffic signs and signals, etc. If you were under age 21, Pennsylvania's laws do not permit you to drive with any measurable alcohol in your system. If you were under 21, you are considered to be driving under the influence if your blood alcohol level is 0.02 or greater. Pennsylvania's implied consent law, chemical testing for alcohol or drugs. The implied consent law is very important to you as a driver. The law covering chemical testing says you have agreed to take such a test, just by being licensed to drive in Pennsylvania. If the police arrest you for driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs and you refuse to take one or more chemical tests of breath or blood, your driving privilege will be automatically suspended for 1 year. This suspension is in addition to the suspension imposed for a conviction or accelerated rehabilitative disposition, ARD, for driving while under the influence. Even if you are found not guilty of driving while under the influence, your driving privilege will be suspended for 1 year for a first-time refusal to take a breath or blood test. If you refuse to take a test and you are found guilty of DUI, your driving privilege may be suspended for 2.5 years, depending on your BAC level at the time of the arrest. If you refuse chemical testing and have had a prior DUI conviction or a prior refusal for chemical testing, you will face an 18-month suspension for the refusal, plus 18 more months for the DUI conviction, for a total suspension of 3 years. Chemical test refusal restoration fee. Drivers who refuse to submit to a chemical test will be required to pay a chemical test refusal restoration fee. First offense is $500, second offense is $1,000, and third or subsequent offense is $2,000. The chemical test refusal restoration fee is in addition to the restoration fee required under the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code, Title 75, Section 1960. A chemical test refusal restoration fee must be paid by certified check or money order. Severe penalties. The penalties become more severe for these three things. The higher your blood alcohol concentration, the more serious the injuries and damages resulting from a crash while driving under the influence, and the more times you are convicted for DUI. The following three tables summarize the penalties for driving under the influence at different levels of impairment. In addition to the penalties listed in these tables, Alcohol Highway Safety School will be required for first or second offenses at any level of impairment. First-time and repeat DUI offenders with high blood alcohol levels and individuals who receive an operating privilege suspension as a result of a chemical test refusal violation will be required to have an ignition interlock system installed in any motor vehicle to be operated. An individual with an ignition interlock requirement who seeks restoration of their operating privilege is required, as a condition of issuing a restricted license, to either have any motor vehicle to be operated equipped with an ignition interlock system and remain so for the duration of the restricted license period, or, if there are no motor vehicles owned, registered, or to be operated, to certify in accordance with PennDOT's regulations. You may also be required by the court to undergo an alcohol abuse screening and treatment at any level of impairment for first and subsequent offenses. Additionally, a judge may impose up to 150 hours of community service. Note: the tables of penalties have been omitted from the audio version of the handbook. Please refer to the printed version of the handbook. You can locate it on the official DMV website or on driving-tests.org. If your penalty includes a maximum probation or prison term of 6 months, you are a first-time offender at any level or a second-time offender in the general impairment or high rate, your DUI crime has been charged as an ungraded misdemeanor. The charge of ungraded misdemeanor means if you contest the case, you are not entitled to a jury trial. For a first offense at the high and highest rates of impairment, you may be accepted into the Accelerated Rehabilitative Disposition (ARD) program. If you are accepted into the ARD program, you will lose your license for up to 90 days for ARD, undergo alcohol and drug evaluation, remain under court supervision for 6 months, undergo alcohol and drug rehabilitation treatment, if necessary, pay a fine of between $300 and $5,000 in addition to related fees and other costs, participate in 12.5 hours of Alcohol Highway Safety School. Zero Tolerance Law, Under 21 DUI. The Zero Tolerance Law establishes serious consequences for those under 21 who drive with any measurable amount of alcohol in their blood. The law reduced the blood alcohol content, BAC, from 0.08 to 0.02 for minors, under 21, charged with driving under the influence. Why zero tolerance? Traffic crashes are the #1 cause of death for teenagers in the United States. Driving involves multiple tasks, the demands of which change continually. To drive safely, you must be alert, make decisions based on ever-changing information present in the environment and be able to maneuver based on these decisions. Drinking alcohol impairs a wide range of skills necessary for carrying out these tasks. If you are under 21 and are convicted of DUI for the first time, you will go to jail for a term ranging from 2 days to 6 months, your license will be suspended for a full year, and you will pay a fine of $500 to $5,000. Underage drinking. If you are under age 21, it is against the law to buy alcohol, consume alcohol, have alcohol in your possession or have alcohol in the vehicle you are driving. In addition, if you are underage and are arrested and detained for blood, breath and/or urine testing, parental consent to conduct these tests is not required, but the police will notify your parents of the arrest. The minimum penalty for underage drinking is a fine of up to $500 plus court costs. The courts may require you to be evaluated to determine the extent of your involvement with alcohol and may also require you to successfully complete a program of alcohol education, intervention or counseling. One fact remains. It is against the law for anyone under age 21 to consume, possess or transport alcohol. Do not risk the consequences. Adults, even parents, who are convicted of knowingly and intentionally supplying minors with alcohol are subject to a fine of at least $1,000 for the first offense and $2,500 for each additional offense and face up to 1 year in jail. Adults are even liable for guests who drink in their homes. If, for example, you had 17 teenagers in your home for a party and they were drinking alcohol, the party could cost you $41,000. That's $1,000 for the first teenage drinker and $2,500 for each of the other 16 drinkers. Driver's License Compact, DLC. The DLC is a compact among member states in the District of Columbia to maximize law enforcement efforts nationwide. The major provisions of the DLC, which member states are committed to uphold and enforce, are the One Driver's License concept, which requires the surrender of an out-of-state driver's license when application for a driver's license in another state is made. The One Driver Record concept, which requires that a complete driver record be maintained in the driver's state of residence to determine driving eligibility in the home state, as well as for their non-resident operator's privilege in other jurisdictions. Reporting of all traffic convictions and driver's license suspensions, revocations of out-of-state drivers to the home state licensing agency, as well as other appropriate information. The assurance of uniform and predictable treatment of drivers by treating offenses committed in other states as though they have been committed in the home state. The following offenses, if committed in a member state, would be treated as though the offense had occurred in Pennsylvania, and the appropriate sanction would be imposed under the provisions of our Vehicle Code. Manslaughter or negligent homicide resulting from the operation of a vehicle, Section 3732. Driving a vehicle while under the influence of alcoholic beverages or a narcotic to a degree rendering the driver incapable of safely driving a vehicle, Section 3802. Failure to stop and render aid in the event of a vehicle accident resulting in the death or personal injury of another, Section 3742. Any felony in the commission of which a vehicle is used, Crimes Code and Dangerous Drug Act offenses. Not responding to an out-of-state citation will result in the indefinite suspension of your Pennsylvania driving privilege until a response is made to the location indicated on the citation. Chapter 5. Laws and Related Issues. Required notification for change in name or address. In accordance with Section 1515 of the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code, if your name or address is changed, you must notify PennDOT within 15 days of that change even if moving out of state. You may report your address change by visiting our website at www.dmv.pa.gov or calling our customer call center at 717-412-5300. The Pennsylvania Vehicle Code prohibits the issuance of driver license products to anyone who is not a resident of Pennsylvania. By law, if you are a registered voter in Pennsylvania, this application will allow us to notify your county voter registration office of your address change. You may change your name by completing a non-commercial driver's license application for change, correction, replacement, Form DL80, available on the website. You will be issued a driver's license update card containing the new information. This card must be carried with your driver's license. There is no fee for this service for non-commercial drivers. Seat belt law. In accordance with Section 4581 of the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code, it is a law in Pennsylvania that all drivers and front seat passengers in vehicles, light trucks and motorhomes must wear seat belts. If you are transporting passengers age 8 or older but less than age 18, they must wear seat belts, no matter where they are riding in the vehicle. If you are a driver under the age of 18, the number of passengers may not exceed the number of seat belts in the vehicle. You are required by law to buckle up. It makes good sense to wear your seat belt. Many people believe they would be able to use their arms and legs to stop themselves from hitting the vehicle's surfaces in a crash, but they are wrong. In a collision, your vehicle stops, but your body keeps moving at the same speed you were traveling until it hits the instrument panel or windshield. In most crashes, the bodies of the passengers and drivers hit the vehicle's interior surfaces with several tons of force. This will shatter even the strongest arms and legs. At 30 miles per hour, this is like hitting the ground from the top of a 3-story building. This is why you cannot catch yourself with your arms. A driver or passenger who is not buckled up can be killed on impact even when the vehicle is traveling as slowly as 12 miles per hour. Only seat belts can safely slow your body. You have only 1/50th of a second to stop your body after the vehicle crashes. Arms and legs do not work that quickly, but seat belts do. Seat belts slow your body down far more gently than a hard instrument panel, steering wheel or windshield does. During a crash, Fastened seatbelts distribute the forces of rapid deceleration over larger and stronger parts of your body such as the chest, hips and shoulders. Airbags provide an even greater ride-down benefit. However, even with an airbag present, a seatbelt must be worn. Seatbelts also keep you inside of your vehicle. Your chances of being killed are almost 25 times greater if you are thrown from your vehicle. Being thrown clear usually means going through the windshield and then landing somewhere hard. The forces in a collision can be great enough to fling you as much as 150 feet, about 15 vehicle lengths. If you land in the street, there is always the chance of being run over while you lie there. 4 out of every 5 people who were killed by being thrown clear would have lived if they had been able to stay inside the vehicle. Seatbelts and airbags save lives. They work best when everyone is buckled and children are properly restrained in the back seat. Child restraint law. Vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death and injury to children in the United States. In Pennsylvania each year, approximately 7,000 children under 5 years of age are involved in crashes. Child Passenger Protection ACT 229 requires children under the age of 4 must be buckled into a federally approved child passenger restraint system, child safety seat, which must be secured to the vehicle by the seat belt system, or using the vehicle's latch system, available in newer vehicles, no matter where they ride in the vehicle, front or back seat. Children ages 4 and older, but under the age of 8, must be buckled into a federally approved child booster seat, which must be secured to the vehicle by the seat belt system, no matter where they ride in a vehicle, front or back seat. Booster seats must be used in conjunction with lap and shoulder belts. Children ages 8 and older, but under age 18 must be buckled in a seat belt, no matter where they ride in the vehicle, front or back seat. Drivers are responsible for securing children into an approved child passenger restraint system and ensuring children under age 18 are buckled up. Children younger than age 2 must be secured in a rear-facing car seat until the child outgrows the maximum weight and height limits of the car seat as designated by the car seat manufacturer. Never install a rear-facing child safety seat in the front seat if an airbag is present. In a crash, the airbag will hit the back of the child seat with tremendous force, which will be transmitted to the infant's head, causing severe injury or death. If you are transporting children under age 8, who, by law, must ride in federally approved child safety seats or booster seats, read your vehicle owner's manual and the directions that came with the seat so you know how to tightly attach the seat to your vehicle's seat and how to secure the children snugly in their child seats. Safety tips for children and pets. Prevent vehicle-related heatstroke. As outside temperatures rise, the dangers for children and pets being seriously injured or even dying from being left alone inside a hot car also rise. Vehicles heat up quickly. Even with a window rolled down 2 inches, if the outside temperature is in the low 80s Fahrenheit, the temperature inside a vehicle can reach deadly levels in only 10 minutes. Prevention tips to avoid a tragic heat stroke. Never leave a child or pet alone in a car, even if the windows are partially open. Never let kids play in an unattended vehicle. Place your purse, briefcase, cell phone, or something you will need in the back seat so you will be sure to see a child left in the vehicle. Keep a large teddy bear or other stuffed animal in the car seat when it is empty. Move the item to the front seat when you place the child in the car seat as a visual reminder. For additional information about preventing heat stroke, visit https://www.safercar.gov/parents/anondaroundthecar/heatstroke.htm. Winter coats and car seats. As the coldest part of winter approaches, parents bring out their child's bulky winter coats to keep them warm during vehicle travel. However, thick winter coats can reduce the safety of the child's car seat. All coats and clothing will compress in a crash, but thicker winter coats can compress enough to create significant slack in the harness. The car seat harness keeps the child secure in the car seat and must be snug on the child's body to provide the best protection in a crash. For additional information regarding winter safety tips for children, visit PennDOT's website at http://www.penndot.gov. Airbag safety information. Airbags are supplemental protection devices. Lap and shoulder belts should always be worn. Wear the seat belt snugly across your hips and the shoulder strap across your chest away from your neck. Driver and front passenger seats should be moved as far back as practical, particularly for shorter people. You should sit as far away from the airbag compartment as possible, without compromising your ability to reach and operate the gas and brake pedals, and controls on the instrument panel and steering column. To be safe, in case the airbag deploys, you should be at least 10 inches away from the steering wheel. Hold the steering wheel at the 9 and 3 o'clock or 8 and 4 o'clock positions. This will keep your wrists and arms from being injured or broken or forcibly hitting you in the face, if the airbag deploys. Also, keep your thumbs on the top or outside rim of the wheel, instead of gripping the inside of the wheel. Infants in rear-facing safety seats should never ride in the front seat of a vehicle with a passenger side airbag. It is recommended that all children ages 12 and under ride in the rear seat. There are 2 reasons for this. First, most collisions are frontal collisions, so placing children in the back seat moves them farther away from the point of impact. Second, children tend to fidget in their seats and may get too close to the airbag compartment if they are in a front seat, putting them at risk of injury in the event the airbag deploys during a crash. Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. In order to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, PennDOT has made all driver license centers and photo license centers accessible to physically disabled individuals. In addition, the following services are available to people who want to take the knowledge and road test and have a hearing or reading impairment. Interpreters for the deaf and hearing impaired. PennDOT's Bureau of Driver Licensing will provide an interpreter upon request for individuals who are hearing impaired and communicate through the use of sign language. This service is available for customers who want to take the driver's knowledge and/or road test or have to take a special point exam. Make your initial contact with PennDOT at least 2 weeks prior to the time you want to take the test, and PennDOT will do its best to secure a person who signs in your preference. In order for an interpreter to be present, you must 1. Call 717-412-5300 to schedule an appointment to take your test. If you use a TDD, you should call 711. Indicate at which driver license center you want to take the test and give at least 3 dates you will be able to take the test. When setting up an appointment to take your test, you may also use the Pennsylvania Relay Service. This service provides telephone communication between a person who has a TDD system and one who does not. This system uses an operator to act as a go-between for calls between hearing and non-hearing parties. If you have a TDD system, you should use 1-800-654-5984 when accessing the Pennsylvania Relay Service. If you are accessing the service as a hearing caller, you should use 1-800-654-5988. When an interpreter has been hired to assist you with your test, you will be called back to have your test date confirmed. 2. When making your appointment, you should indicate if there is a type of sign language you prefer to use. The types available are American Sign Language, ASL, Pidgin Sign Language, PSE, Signed Exact English, SEE. An oral interpreter, a person who reads lips. Alternative testing method. Some people who take the knowledge test may have trouble reading or in some cases, may not be able to read and would feel more comfortable if the test were read to them. Upon request, voice tests are offered at all driver license centers across the Commonwealth. Parking areas for persons with disabilities. According to Pennsylvania law, there are 2 conditions necessary before an individual may illegally park in a designated parking area for persons with disabilities. 1. The vehicle being parked must display a disabled person or disabled veteran registration plate, parking placard. 2. The vehicle must be operated by or for the transportation of the disabled person or severely disabled veteran. Any vehicle unlawfully parked in a parking area for disabled persons may be removed from that area by towing and reclaimed upon payment of the towing costs. This parking violation is a summary offense. Individuals convicted of this offense will be fined between $50 and $200. Anti-littering law. It is against the law to drop, throw or deposit upon any highway, upon any other public or private property, without the consent of the owners thereof, or into or on the waters of this Commonwealth, from a vehicle, any waste paper, sweepings, ashes, household waste, glass, metal, refuse or rubbish or any dangerous or detrimental substance, or permitting any of the preceding without immediately removing such items or causing their removal. A violation of this law, including any violation resulting from the conduct of any other persons present within any vehicle of which you are the driver, may result in a fine of up to $300 upon conviction. Vehicle safety and emissions inspection. Your vehicle must have a safety inspection at an authorized inspection station every 12 months. The date on the sticker tells you when your vehicle must be inspected again. A vehicle may be inspected up to 90 days before its next expiration date. Also, if a police officer notices faulty equipment in your vehicle, you may be required to fix it within 5 days to avoid a citation. In many counties, you must also get the emissions control system for your car, van or light-duty truck, model year 1975 or newer, inspected before you can complete your safety inspection. Emissions inspections are performed at privately owned businesses certified by PennDOT. Call the emissions customer hotline at 1-800-265-0921 to learn about the requirements in your county. Safe passing is the law. 1. Before passing, you must first decide whether you can maneuver around the bicyclist. Be sure to check for oncoming traffic. When passing, you must allow at least 4 feet between your vehicle and a bicycle in order to pass safely. If necessary and if you can do it safely, you are permitted to cross the center double yellow line so you can maintain the 4 feet of clearance between your vehicle and the bicycle. 2. Unless making a left turn, bicyclists traveling more slowly than passing vehicles must keep to the right side of the roadway and must travel in the same direction as the rest of traffic. However, this requirement is waived on roads with a single lane in each direction. 3. When there is only one travel lane, bicyclists may use any portion of the lane to avoid hazards on the roadway, including keeping a safe distance from stopped and parked cars. 4. Drivers cannot turn into the path of a bicyclist who is riding straight ahead on a roadway or shoulder. 5. You cannot force a bicyclist off the road. If you do this, you may face criminal charges. 6. Bicyclists are considered to be vehicle operators and are expected to obey all traffic laws. However, they may travel at less than the posted minimum speed and may not be cited for impeding traffic. Bicyclists may operate on a shoulder or berm, but are not required to do so. For more information, the Pennsylvania Bicycle Driver's Manual, Pub 380, can be found at http://www.state.pa.us/public/pubs/pub%20380.pdf. The danger of open doors to bicyclists. Open vehicle doors pose a very serious threat to bicyclists. When opening a vehicle door, drivers and passengers are suggested to do the following. 1. Check your rear view mirror. 2. Check your side view mirror. 3. Open the door with your far hand, the hand farther from the door. This is called the Dutch reach method because it originated in the Netherlands. It forces your body to turn, which will better allow you to see approaching bicyclists. It also prevents the vehicle door from being opened too fast. This not only protects bicyclists, but can also prevent your door from being damaged or torn off by an approaching motor vehicle. Bicyclists should ride at least 3 feet from parked cars to avoid doors, both on streets with and without bike lanes. This will keep bicyclists outside of the door zone and protect them from getting hit by opening vehicle doors. Anti-texting law. The law went into effect March 8, 2012, and violating the law is a primary, summary offense with convictions carrying a $50 fine. What the law does. Defines an interactive wireless communication device, IWCD, as a wireless phone, personal digital assistant, smartphone, portable or mobile computer or similar devices that can be used for texting, instant messaging, emailing or browsing the internet. Defines a text-based communication as a text message, instant message, email or other written communication composed or received on an IWCD. Makes clear that this law supersedes and preempts any local ordinances restricting the use of interactive wireless devices by drivers. The law does not authorize the seizure of an IWCD. The texting ban does not include the use of a GPS device, a system or device that is physically or electronically integrated into the vehicle, or a communications device that is affixed to a mass transit vehicle, bus or school bus. Obedience to traffic control devices warning of hazardous conditions law. This law, which went into effect on September 6, 2012, makes it illegal to drive around or through signs or traffic control devices closing a road or highway due to hazardous conditions, like flooded roadways. A conviction for violation of this law results in 2 points added to your driving record and a fine of up to $250. Additionally, if emergency responders are called out because of your actions, the fine is increased to up to $500 and you will be held liable for repaying the emergency response costs. Chapter 6. References. Road test and special point examination appointments. Appointments must be made to take the special point examination and the non-commercial road test. When you are ready to take the road test or special point examination, you may schedule your test online via the Driver and Vehicle Services website at www.dmv.pa.gov. If you do not have access to the internet, you can schedule your test by calling 1-800-423-5542 between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, except holidays. Remember, if you are under 18 years of age, you may not take your road test for 6 months after you have received your learner's permit, and you must have completed the 65 hours of behind-the-wheel skill building requirements. Non-CDL third-party testing program. PennDOT has certified third-party businesses to administer the road test for a market-driven fee. All third-party examiners are PennDOT certified, and the test is identical to the test that you would take at a PennDOT driver license center. For a list of participating businesses in your area, visit www.dmv.pa.gov. Departmental forms and publications on the Internet. Information, forms, publications and fact sheets relating to driver licensing and motor vehicles are available for customer convenience and are located on PennDOT's Driver and Vehicle Services website at www.dmv.pa.gov. Statewide and county maps. For information on statewide and county maps, call 1-717-787-6746, Monday through Friday, except holidays, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Other information. The United States Department of Transportation has an auto safety hotline at 1-800-424-9393 or on the Internet at www.nhtsa.gov. 511PA. 511PA provides free, 24-hour information services including traffic delay warnings, weather forecasts, regional tourism information, and links to transit agencies and major airports. The service is available by calling 511 from cellular phones and landlines or through the Internet by visiting www.511pa.com. The 511PA roadway network includes all 1,759 miles of interstate including the Pennsylvania Turnpike, as well as other major roadways in Harrisburg, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Traffic information for the majority of this network includes incident reports such as crashes, construction activities and winter road conditions. Additionally, average traffic speeds are available for several interstates and other major roadways in urban areas. Users are also able to register through the website to receive personalized traveler alerts, provided through email and text messaging. PennDOT encourages motorists to not call 511PA while driving. Callers should safely pull off the road to call the system, or check for travel delays before heading out. Carbon monoxide poisoning. All gas-powered vehicles produce carbon monoxide, a deadly odorless gas which is released out of the exhaust pipe of the vehicle. You cannot smell carbon monoxide gas. If you become drowsy or nauseous, it could indicate carbon monoxide poisoning. Symptoms of carbon monoxide exposure: fatigue or weakness, dizziness, headache, nausea and or vomiting, rapid heart rate, irregular breathing, confusion of disorientation, coughing, chest pain. Tips to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning in vehicles. Regular inspection and maintenance of your vehicle's exhaust system and mufflers are essential in preventing carbon monoxide poisoning in your vehicle. If you are aware of holes or other deficiencies in your exhaust system, have it checked out by an automotive professional right away. Do not warm up your vehicle in the garage with the garage door down or partially down. Open your garage door completely if your vehicle is running in your garage. If your vehicle is keyless and you park it in an attached garage, never forget to turn off the vehicle. On snowy days, always inspect your tailpipe and remove any snow or ice that might be obstructing your vehicle's tailpipe. If you are stuck in traffic or otherwise sitting in an idling vehicle, make sure to partially open a window. Consider installing a battery-operated carbon monoxide detector in your vehicle and check or replace batteries when changing the time on clocks in spring and fall each year. If you suspect carbon monoxide poisoning in your vehicle, exit the vehicle immediately, get fresh air, and seek emergency medical attention right away.